Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. Welcome back from the weekend. We're so glad you're here. We've got 3 hours to spend together here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC Radio app, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning into the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. I'm with you for the duration. Spencer Dupuis will be along in the 4 o'clock hour as usual. 3 hours of sports talk coming your way today. We're off at 6 o'clock. Royals are off tonight. They head out on the road for a 6-game road trip. And they haven't lost since we last talked. In fact, they haven't lost since last Saturday. The Royals are the hottest team in the American League, winners of 8 in a row. They're in Toronto and Cleveland over the next week. Toronto for 3, Cleveland for 3. Some Eastern time zone first pitches, so we're a little short on time the next 4 days. But, yeah, we'll get there. We'll talk about the red-hot Royals. It's almost certainly too late to matter for 2026, but it doesn't mean it isn't fun to watch the boys in blue rip off a sweep of the Tigers and complete a season series victory over the Tigers, which they did over the weekend. Also on the weekend, the Chiefs lost another preseason game. It's getting to be a little ridiculous the ways they find to lose these games, isn't it? I mean, if there is a way to lose a preseason game, I'm pretty sure that the Chiefs have found it by now. They've got one more game, one more opportunity to innovate in the space, but a particularly innovative 16-15 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Saturday. Those losing habits, man, they are, it's in the walls. I'm telling you, I don't love the losing habits on display, even from guys who are second and third, and in some cases, fourth team guys. But there was plenty to like about the way the Chiefs played on Saturday. They pitched a first-half shutout after all. And I don't know about you, I'm feeling a lot better about the defensive line after that performance on Saturday, because they've got some guys who look primed to make some real noise this season coming off the edge. And R. Mason Thomas, and boy, finally, Felix Anudike-Uzomah had the kind of preseason performance we've been waiting for 4 years. I'll explain what I mean when I say that. There were some good things on offense as well. Jalen Royals, hello. Garrett Nussmeier, I think you got to keep him. I think you got to keep him on the 53-man at this point. So there was the good and the bad and the Butker of it all on Saturday as the Chiefs dropped to 0-2 in the preseason, and we will recap it all on the program today, including what stood out in a good way, what didn't stand out in a negative way, and are we a little worried? A little worried about the Chiefs' veteran kicker after he gacked an extra point and a 40-some yard field goal. I think it was 43. I had to laugh at the broadcast because I watched the game after the fact. I did not watch it live. Once again, I fast-forwarded, watched it yesterday to be fresh in the mind for Monday. And it was very funny to hear Ari Wolf on the Chiefs television broadcast say, well, this is like a chip shot for Butker, because he did smash home a 69-yard field goal. No altitude, no gale force wind. He just buried a 69-yard field goal at the end of the first half. It looked like it would have been good from 79. But 43 on the extra point and on the what would have been the go-ahead field goal, apparently that was a bridge too far. And Ari Wolf put the whammy on him. I mean, it might be more him to blame than anything Harrison Butker did. But Butker wasn't, spectacular last year. Is the Chiefs' big game, big money kicker in something of a decline? I'm not worried, and I'll explain why. And not just because I make it generally my policy not to worry too much about things in the preseason. That's just a good rule of thumb, by and large. But I'm not worried about Harrison Butker, and I'll tell you why I'm not worried about Harrison Butker, though there are some guys that I'm a little concerned about coming out of that preseason game on Saturday, and we will get to that. Two guests on the program today that we'll talk some preseason football with. Of course, Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, will join the program. Matt covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. We'll get his thoughts on the Chiefs preseason game, and I cannot wait to get his reaction to the Browns naming Deshaun Watson their starting quarterback today. Because I don't know that there's a more toxic situation in all of sports than the quarterback situation of the Cleveland Browns. Wake up every day and thank your lucky stars you don't root for that football team. Because there is no pro sports franchise more openly disdainful of their fans right now than the Cleveland Browns. So, I've said this many times. I like talking about Matt Verderame about good football, but I really like talking to Matt about bad football. Talking to Matt about bad football is so entertaining. And it doesn't get much worse than Deshaun Watson, the Cleveland Browns. So we'll get his thoughts on that. There was an NFL trade today we'll get his thoughts on as well. Matt Verderame will join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. Also at 5:25, I know the Chiefs are not technically in training camp, but we still call them training camp reports with Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, presented by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Mitch will join us at 5:25 today for Rookie Week on the countdown, on the training camp reports. We're going to better get to know over the next 4 days. Presume we'll have a checklist on Friday before the final preseason game. We're going to better get to know 4 members of this 2026 rookie class for the Chiefs. So looking forward to that with Mitch. He'll join us at 5:25 this afternoon. Plus, we got all the rest of our typical Monday shenanigans. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll do the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was coming up this hour of the program. At the end of this hour, a new week of What Is Wrong With You as well. Our final week of What Is Wrong With You will crown a weekly champ on Thursday for the week. We will then go into our semifinals on Friday for the month of August, because next Monday is final day of August. And so in a week, we will crown an August champion on What Is Wrong With You. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to be a part of 580 Sports Talk today. I want to hear from you. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Jump on into the chat. Love to hear from you in the text line. You can also interact with us on the YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of our YouTube channel. Go subscribe. We just put up a new YouTube short today you can go check out. We do appreciate when you check those out, when you give them a like, when you leave a comment. That's awesome. Subscribing to the YouTube channel, that's awesome for us as well. And coming up on Wednesday on the live video broadcast and on the audio broadcast, but this might be something you might be interested in seeing on Wednesday at 5:06, top of the 5 o'clock hour. Yours truly, Dan Lucero, along with Spencer Dupuis, will undertake the Hot Wing Challenge, courtesy of our friends at Hooters, the Hot Wing Challenge that we promised you when we got to 1,000 YouTube subscribers like a month and a half ago. Who's counting? We finally got around to doing it. We've set the date. We've acquired a sponsor for the wings, and we are going to have the Hot Wing Challenge. It is not a hot wing eating contest. I want to make that very clear. It is not how many can we eat in X amount of time. No, this is, can we eat the wings and not flinch? This is a battle of will between Spencer and I. Who will eat the hot wings, the hottest on the menu from our friends at Hooters, and not blink, not flinch, not reach for the milk? Probably going to be 2%. Somebody asked. Who can hold out the longest? That is the challenge. That will be what we do on the Wednesday edition of the show. So we're looking forward to that. Now is a good time to go subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll have it up on YouTube. Anyway, we also have a great YouTube chat going on during the program, and we want to hear from you in the live chat on YouTube. You can hop in, ask questions. Interact with each other, interact with your host, grow the 580 Sports Talk community. Corey was early to the chat today. Great to see you. McFly, first one in on the live show. Our friend from Overbrook, our quilting friend. Good to see you as always. Vance is in. I see Mark H. I see Carl. RD Stu into the chat today. Appreciate hearing from all of you. We'll answer some of your questions as we go along. Get your reaction to whatever it is that you want to talk about from the weekend in sports here on 580 Sports Talk. We're going to start with the events at Raymond James Stadium on Saturday. Buccaneers 16, Chiefs 15. The preseason losing streak for the Chiefs hits 8 games, and a lot of things had to go wrong for the Chiefs to lose that game after they had fairly dominated the first half. I thought the Chiefs looked pretty good in the first half of football. Their starters, starting offensive line, and again, starters with an asterisk, right? Because you're holding guys out. There's no Mahomes, obviously, no Josh Simmons, no Trey Smith. So the ones is kind of a loose term. But the Chiefs rode with their ones for a couple of series, and I thought for the most part, guys that you would consider starters for the Kansas City Chiefs performed, I thought, pretty well. And the Chiefs led 9-0 at the half thanks to Butker's unbelievable 69-yard field goal. I mean, that didn't even come close to not having enough leg. That was remarkable. But then Butker misses not once but twice in the second half, including a miss on a reload of an extra point try that was made but waved off because Jared Wiley committed a holding penalty. How do you hold on an extra point? So that took a point off the board, and considering that it was a 1-point game in the end, that was kind of an important point. The points that won the game for the Buccaneers were scored on a short field thanks to fourth-string tight end Trey Watson, and that might be generous, flinging a pass into the arms of a defender for the interception that set up that short field. A lot had to go wrong, and it did. Losing habits. Chiefs continue to display them in the regular season. Emmanuel Ogbah, NFL vet, out there with the third string in the fourth quarter, goes offsides on a 3rd and short, gives the Buccaneers a free set of downs. Things like that. Little things like that. Drop passes, penalties, missed kicks. Things that are avoidable, things that are correctable, but things that the Chiefs, once again, could not avoid, just as they could not avoid them in game 1 of the preseason, just as they could not avoid them for the better part of the entire 2025 regular season. But again, a lot of the guys you're talking about aren't going to probably be in that situation. Trey Watson is not going to be the go-to receiver on a Chris Oladokun slant on a 3rd down on week 1 against Denver. So I think it's a fair thing to notice and to criticize, but it is also not necessarily the kind of thing that has to linger. But back to the guys who are going to play. I thought there was plenty to like on Saturday. And the defensive line was the source for a lot of it. We have said this about Felix Anudike-Uzomah for the past 3 seasons, since he was drafted at the end of the first round by the Chiefs in 2023. One of the reasons that we have not been able to expect more from Felix, one of the reasons that his on-field playing time has been spotty in the 2 seasons he was healthy before he missed all of last year. When Felix would line up against backups or 3rd stringers in the preseason, he wouldn't do much. And if you're a starting caliber player, if you're a 1st-round pick in the NFL, and you're going up against backups, and look, the varying degrees of backups, right? But if you've learned nothing from watching preseason football over the years, maybe one of the biggest things you need to take away from is that most teams don't have great backup offensive linemen. If they were good players, they'd start, right? Those guys are at a premium. Starting caliber offensive lineman, that is. But if you're going up against backup offensive linemen as a 1st-round pick, you ought to be kicking their tail. You ought to be beating them off the edge. You ought to be able to dominate. And Felix never put anything like that on tape. He had some moments in the regular season, sure, but there was never that clear signal in a preseason game that, oh, he's too good to be out there running around with the second team and with the third team. He's too good for those guys. He's too overpowering. He's too quick, whatever it is. Never really happened for Felix. Never stood out, never even really flashed against the backups. That changed on Saturday. The sack was the highlight play. He was in the backfield before Jake Browning could blink. And, man, that's the dream as a defensive end, to get a sack like that. Just right into the midsection of the quarterback and just plant him. That was obviously the highlight of Felix's day in the stat sheet, but he had another tackle. He had another pressure. He was winning his one-on-one against the backup right tackle of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to look like that against a backup if you yourself are better than backup caliber. And we've waited 4 years for Felix Anudike-Uzomah to maybe be better than backup caliber. And he has not shown that over an extended period of time in regular season game action, which is why the Chiefs didn't pick up his fifth-year player option this summer. But that performance is the one that has given me the most hope that this training camp hype is real, and that maybe, just maybe, this is 24-year-old, still only 24, Felix Anudike-Uzomah. He's younger than some guys that got drafted. He's younger than Akeem Mesidor, who went in the first round this year. The kid from Miami, the other first rounder from Miami, right? He's younger than him. He's been in the league 4 years. So he's still young. If he had been drafted this year, we'd be talking about, well, what can he become? We've stopped talking about that with Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Maybe we should start again, because that looked like a starting caliber defensive end against a backup. That's what you want it to look like. So that was very encouraging. And he was far from the only one. Our Mason Thomas is like shot out of a cannon every time he's got the opportunity to rush the passer. He had the deflection at the line, was very nearly a backward pass, had some other reps where he won clean, got in the backfield, just gets around the tackle on either side that he's lined up on. He can line up weak side, he can line up strong side, and he can win off the ball. Very impressed with our Mason Thomas. I thought that was even better than his first preseason performance. And we had talked on the Friday show, or thanks again to our friends from Smoothie King for hosting us on Friday. They're open today. Go see them. We had talked about needing to see somebody from the third or fourth string on the defensive line step up, because there are jobs to be won. If Omar Norman-Lott's going to start on the IR, if Ashton Gelati's going to be managing an injury all season, there are spots and playing time to be won on the line. Marcus Harris, who we brought up a little bit with Matt Derrick on Friday, the defensive tackle, he looks like he can hang. I thought he played very well. I thought he was very noticeable, winning his matchups, getting into the backfield. Tyreek Smith, too, I thought played a decent game. Then his hamstring was an issue, and if that's not too serious, Smith certainly has a chance to win a roster spot. And even the guys who are your UDFAs, Amari McNeil had a sack. Ethan Herkett had a sack on the two-point conversion try late in the game. That was very impressive, I thought, as a collective, the defensive line for the Chiefs. I thought that was a performance that can make you feel good about that group. They weren't the only ones. Jalen Royals had his best showing in a Chiefs uniform. 6 catches, 51 yards, made tacklers miss. He's now made or accounted for 5 missed tackles this preseason. That's more than any other wide receiver across the NFL through 2 weeks of preseason action. Showing ability to make the catch and make people miss in space. Chiefs have always valued that. We just never really got to see it from Jalen Royals last year, but it looks like that club's still in the bag for the second-year pro out of Utah State. He's a little bit like the Felix Anudike-Uzomah of the offense in some ways. Not as far along as in his NFL career, but a guy I think we all sort of decided after last season, yeah, that guy's not really a factor. That guy can't really play. If he could play, why didn't he play? And that was the question about Felix before he got hurt last year. I don't want to hold the injury against him. But with Royals, he got dinged, then he got healthy, and he couldn't get on the field. Well, he looks like he belonged on the field with a solid game yesterday. Jaden Hicks continues to ball out, had a strip sack, came like a bat out of Hades on a safety blitz, just leveled the quarterback. That was a great play. He continues to play well. I thought all the running backs did some good things. Amari DiMercado, who was back out there with the ones. Maybe we overreacted a little bit to his lack of play time week 1. He had a nice run up the middle, nice little burst. Emmett Johnson scored a touchdown. This one counted. Rashard Smith had a couple of nice runs, so he did have a terrible fumble in the fourth quarter. Just an awful fumble. You can't carry the football like that in the NFL, son. So there's a lot to like. There were some things that I didn't like. I don't need to see Justin Fields play a whole lot more quarterback. He's a great athlete. As a quarterback, he's a terrific athlete. Well, how is he as a passer? Man, he's a great athlete. He's a super athlete. I don't need to see a whole lot more of him. I don't. That terrible sack he took in the first half, took about a 30-yard sack. That was horrendous. That was Shedeur Sanders-like. And if I'm comparing any quarterback to Shedeur, I'm not doing it as a compliment. It's undeniable Garrett Nussmeier has looked better. Small sample caveats, preseason caveats apply there, but Garrett Nussmeier looks more like a quarterback than Justin Fields does to me. I think that's undeniable. And then you get to the tackles. And we're going to talk more about this with Matt Verderame because he was really critical about this in the intermediate aftermath of Saturday's game. Jalen Moore at left tackle, Khalil Benson at right tackle. It wasn't all bad, but it certainly wasn't good. And that's an important distinction, right? Like, Khalil Benson, and Andy Reid pointed this out. We'll hear from Andy later on in the show. He spoke today at One Arrowhead Drive after practice. That was the first time Khalil Benson's had to play or has played with the silent count on the road that the Chiefs use. So if he felt the tick slow to react to some plays, that might have been a timing issue for him. Also, he had to deal with Ruben Bain, which, by the way, Mansour Delane might end up being a really good player, but I still think I was right that Ruben Bain should have been the pick. If Delane and R. Mason Thomas are both really good, I won't bring it up all year. I won't harp on it or anything. I won't harp on it forever. But, man, Ruben Bain looked like a dude. He had a hump move on Benson on one play. Just tossed him. He looked like Reggie White. I thought this guy's arm was supposed to be short. What was the deal there? But Benson struggled. Moore wasn't great. There was one snap where neither of them got a block on anybody and forced Fields to get the ball out too quick on an out route. Should have been an easy pitch and catch and blown up because the tackles didn't do their job. Can the Chiefs just get average right tackle play this year from one of those guys? More likely more, honestly, based on what I saw from Benson. That's going to be a big key. That's going to be very critical to this season. What did you see? What did you like? Who stood out to you? I want to know what you thought of the Chiefs' second preseason game on Saturday. Text the program, 785-272-9429. You can also interact with me in the live chat on our YouTube channel. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Matt Verderame coming up in about 10 minutes. Mitch Holthus at 525. We're talking a lot more Chiefs. We'll talk some Royals. What is wrong with you? Headlines. We got a great show for you today. Thanks for being here on 580 Sports Talk. .332 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting revved up on this Monday. Let's get to the YouTube chat for some listener reaction and questions. We'll start with Carl. Carl asked, Dan, should we be concerned about offensive line depth? I'm worried about it holding up for a quarterback that is coming off a serious injury. It was like I was saying earlier, Carl, most teams, offensive linemen 7 through 9 or 7 through 10 aren't going to be real good anyway. So I don't know that it's more of a concern for the Chiefs than it would be for any other team. I'm not worried about the starting offensive line. Trey Smith back at practice today, so there's some good news there that Trey Smith is on track to return as he was back at practice today. Should be there for week 1. Nothing indicating that Josh Simmons won't be yet, but he was not practicing today. But I think the starting group of Simmons, Sumataia, Humphrey, Smith, and Moore, or Benson, that's still an open competition. I think Moore probably shades it right now. Benson, like I said, he had his moments, but also I do kind of feel like that's a guard. In his best version of himself, probably a guard. Is that offensive line good enough? Yes, I do. I think it is. Are you worried about depth? Just like any other team, you're worried about one of your good offensive linemen gets hurt. And the Chiefs, I think, have, because I'm a big believer in Simmons, I think they have 4 above average starting offensive linemen. And 1 in Moore or Benson, that's a question mark. But I think they're in good shape when everybody is healthy. Do you worry about injuries at that position? Just as much as everybody else in the league does, is what I would say. But I still feel good about the starters. Carl, thank you for the question. Some thoughts on Justin Fields from the chat. Paul says every time he drops back to pass, he looks like throwing the ball is the last thing he wants to do on earth. Yeah, he's a one-read guy, right? One read, and then he wants to go, which is fine. Like I said, he's a really good athlete. He's a really good athlete. Carl agrees. Oladokin should not be the second backup. I'm done with him. I think he's clearly quarterback number 4. Nussmeier and Fields being in a competition for QB2 is what's really interesting now. I mean, Fields is the guy you put out there for a series. Fields is the guy you put out there for a half. If, God forbid, something happens, Mahomes got to go to the tent. Fields is the guy you put in there, right? But if we were still living in a world where it was like, okay, Mahomes is going to miss like the first month or month and a half of the season, which thankfully for him and for the Chiefs, that doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. And you were saying, who do you want to start for 6 weeks? Well, again, Fields did that a couple years ago for the Steelers, and they won football games. You can win if you're creative with him. But Nussmeier looks like a player. He does. He looks like he can play in the league out there. So I do think that there is some competition there, or at least some intrigue as far as, and like it's not a scenario you want to ponder, right? Like who would take long-term snaps if the Chiefs had to go to the Oak at quarterback again? I'd much rather, Mahomes takes a hard hit, got to go into the tent, comes back out, misses like a series. Justin Fields handles the series, I think, at this point. But again, kind of like the offensive line thing, you just hope those aren't questions you have to answer, because the plan A is, I think, pretty good, especially at quarterback. I know it's good. We're taking time out here on 580 Sports Talk. Oh, real quick, let's get to this from the 316. I like this comment. The FAU sack healed something in the world. Just felt right. Was certainly impressed. Have to see him do it more times than just one good preseason game. I know a lot of people still really rooting for Felix. A lot of K-State fans, I'm sure, still the overlap, Wildcats/Chiefs fans, still really rooting for King Felix to get right and to contribute to this team. And I am more of the belief that he can now than I would have been a month ago. He's had a really good camp, and he's played well now in the preseason. That's what you want to see. That's all. This is the proving ground we have. And on that proving ground, Felix has done everything you could ask for and probably a little bit more. Thanks for the text as well, 785-272-9429. Let's get to that timeout. We'll come back with Matt Verderame. But before we do, a quick word of thanks to my friends at Calhoun's Jewelers here in the capital city. I say thanks because I'm grateful. I look down every day at my wedding band that I got from Calhoun's Jewelers. And, sometimes we don't say thank you enough. I want to thank the people at Calhoun's Jewelers who made that shopping experience so friendly, so easy, so comfortable, and, of course, a terrific showroom meant I was bound to find something that was just right for me, and I have, and I wear it proudly every day. And I know that if you trust Calhoun's Jewelers with your major jewelry purchase, for whatever the occasion may be, they will treat you with the same respect and the same care, and you'll be just as blown away by the best jewelry showroom in Topeka. Go see it today. Calhoun's Jewelers, 18th and Gage in Topeka. Matt Verderame next to 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com. He is our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. In addition to hearing him here on Mondays, you can catch him on That Football Show, podcast with the KC Sports Network, and you can get all of his insight if you subscribe to his Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. Matt, Chiefs are 0-2 in the preseason, but I was more encouraged by their first half performance than I was discouraged by the final score. What stood out positively to you the most about that Chiefs performance on Saturday?
I think it would be the defense. I mean, they pitched the shutout in the first half. The Buccaneers, they played their starters for a couple series, not a ton of plays, but I think it was 6-7 plays. Listen, the team speed defensively is a lot better. It's a lot better. Whether it's Delane, it's Woods, it's Thomas, it's when Boston, Hicks play, they can actually run. And the last year, I remember watching that Chargers game in Brazil and thinking they looked like they ran in cement. This group can run. They can hit. I like our Mason Thomas off the edge. He's probably been their most impressive player to this point in the preseason. So, listen, I think there's a lot to build off of. Obviously, the tackles are a problem on offense. But all told, I think if you're Andy Reid, if Steve Spagnuolo, you're pretty happy. I mean, offensively, it's impossible to grade them. They're not playing anybody. So you kind of toss that out. Defensively, they look good. They look fast. They look physical. They look like a team that defensively is going to be maybe better than we thought right out of the gate.
We were talking about Felix Anudike-Uzomah just a bit ago. He had a sack, his first of the preseason. All of a sudden, he looks like a pretty important guy for the Chiefs. He's gone from being a guy who was on the fringe of the 53 to being a guy now who's pretty important, especially if Ashton Gillotte is going to be less than 100% for, really, if we're being realistic, the better part of this 2026 season with that injury he's going to have to manage. But Felix has had a great camp. They've raved about him. He finally dominated second stringers in a preseason game, which was encouraging. What do you think that Felix can give the Chiefs this year? Keeping in mind that he's also younger than first-round pick Akeem Messidor.
Yeah. Look, he's still very young. The reality is it's still wait and see in terms of has he really turned some kind of corner here? Because realistically, as you mentioned, he was going to get second stringers for much of his snap count. He played very well. He did a very nice job. He obviously had that one highlight sack, but he also had a few other pressures and splash plays. I think the big question is going to be if Gillotte does have to miss any kind of time in the regular season, FAU is going to play. Like, he's going to be a rotational player for them because Agba, after watching him on Saturday night, I don't know that they're going to be running him out there anytime soon. So, look, he's going to be the rotational guy behind Thomas, behind Karlaftis. Obviously, Jones on third down outside, but he's going to play. He's going to play, and if he continues to get off the ball the way he's been getting off the ball, showing that explosiveness, coming off the injury, that's huge. I mean, that was always kind of the internal question about FAU was he doesn't get off the ball well. That's always been his big problem. That has not been a problem this summer. So how much does that change things? I know a quarter of a second doesn't sound like much. In the NFL, the difference between getting home and getting stonewalled a lot of times is that quarter second, eighth of a second getting off the line of scrimmage.
Do you feel significantly worse about the Chiefs' right tackle situation through two preseason games, or do you feel about as iffy on Moore and Benson as you did going into the preseason based on what you've seen?
Man, I felt better about it. It was like they were just taking turns getting beat clean around the edge. And sometimes they just took the same turn, and it was like a meeting at the quarterback. Look, I think there's a reason to be significantly concerned for the Chiefs fan because Simmons, to my understanding, I've talked to people in the building, they're not worried that his injury is anything significant. They think it's really short term, more precautionary, all that stuff. Trey Smith is back in practice today. So, look, if Simmons is there, you can work around the right tackle. You can help with a chip. You can help with the tight end. You can slide that way. You can do those things. If they've got any games where Simmons is not on the field, you've got a huge problem because Moore was getting boat raced in that game. And Benson reminds me a lot of Suamatea, where you watch him and go, hey, man, if he gets in front of you, he can really block you. But if he gets the edge, you're done. He's never going to catch up. Well, that's the problem if you're a tackle. If you're a guard, not as much. Tackle, it's a huge problem. I do think in a real game, you're scheming it up more, and it's not quite as noticeable. But both of them were getting beat badly. And when that happens, it does matter. It has to matter.
Matt Verderame is our guest, our NFL insider, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Matt covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Looking around the league, Matt, we had a trade today. The Houston Texans, who continue to have rotten injury luck when it comes to wide receivers, lost Jaden Higgins for the season. They went out and traded for Kayshon Boutte today from the New England Patriots. They've sent a sixth-round pick from last season, Jalen Reed, a safety, and a seventh-rounder from 2028 to complete the deal. How much of an impact do you think Boutte can make in Houston?
Listen, I don't think he's great, but he's a good quality player. I was just up in Foxborough last week at Pat's camp, and he made a couple of really nice grabs along the sideline. He's a good player. He's a good player. He will give them some insurance because Noel's been kind of beat up all summer. Obviously, Tank Dell, he hasn't played in almost 2 years, year and a half. He's coming off a devastating knee injury. So he does raise the floor. Now, how much of the ceiling does he raise? That's debatable. I don't know that all of a sudden the defensive coordinator's staying awake at night trying to figure out how to cover the Texans' passing attack. But I'll also say this. I think it's a great trade for Houston. I mean, you're giving up nothing. You're giving up a depth safety who on that team is maybe the fourth safety on the team. And a seventh-round pick, who cares? Right? I mean, if you're Houston, that's a no-brainer. And I'll say this, too. I understand it. With New England, they feel like they've got Brown, they've got Dobbs, they've got Douglas and Holland. I don't know why they didn't keep him for the year. Like, at that point, you might as well just keep him, play it out, and get a comp pick. Like, I don't understand. I know he wanted, maybe it's one of these things, hey, you don't want it to fester, but, man, they gave him away for nothing. And while I don't think Booty's a great player, I think he's a quality player, and to give away a guy like that for nothing has to hurt a little bit.
The other big NFL news from today, the Cleveland Browns have named Deshaun Watson their starting quarterback for week 1. And it is, among many other things, it is utterly contemptuous of the team's fans. But what do you make of this Browns decision? And just, I don't even know, like, I don't know what to make of the Browns other than to say they must hate their fans with a burning passion to have done this.
Well, I mean, listen, the last 30 years, reference to hate the fans. They can't win a game. They stink. And the reason they stink is because they make decisions like this. There is no upside with this guy. He's going to be 31 in September. He's played 19 games in 4 years in Cleveland. Part of it because of injury, part of it because of suspension. He has obviously been a disaster off the field throughout his NFL career. $230 million guaranteed, just light it on fire. Actually, probably would have been a better use. Might have warmed somebody up. It is an embarrassment. Oh, Phil Sanders might be terrible. Like, maybe he's terrible, but here's the thing. He might be terrible. I know Deshaun Watson's terrible, right? Like, it's like going to a restaurant you know is going to give you food poisoning and saying, listen, that place on the corner over there, it might give me food poisoning, but the place we're going to tonight, I know I'm going to be hugging a toilet all evening. Like, that's essentially what the Browns have done. So, kudos to them. Their fans have to be wondering, like, can we just have the franchise go to Baltimore again? Does Baltimore want a second franchise? Will they just take him? We'll pack him up and send them. They are an abject disgrace. I would almost bet fictional money here that by week 3, which is their home opener, that Sanders is the starter. Because I don't think they have the guts to trot Watson out in front of those fans for the home opener. I don't think they can do it. I really don't.
I know Watson tried to walk it back today, but to hear him say, yeah, they're booing me, it feels kind of personal. Has there ever been anyone ever in life with less self-awareness than Deshaun Watson?
No, and also, here's the thing. It is personal. You've been awful. Like, they're pissed. They're spending hard-earned money. They're sitting outside in Cleveland. It's freezing in October. Like, it is personal, Deshaun. Like, they're pissed. They want better football. They gave you a fortune. They gave up 3 first-round picks. They've watched Houston rebuild itself into a top-tier contender. And yet here he is talking about, well, it's not because of my play. It's not because of your play. You've been horrendous. You throw 19 touchdowns in 4 years. What are you talking about? It is a disaster. And the fact that they're starting that guy, despite all of that, is all you need to know about the Cleveland Browns.
Matt Verderame joining us here on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. He is our NFL insider from Sports Illustrated and SI.com. Who is the reverse of the Browns in terms of good vibes in this preseason? Is there a team as we approach final week of preseason that you feel like, hey, they're healthy, their camp's going well, there's a better energy around this team, there are good vibes? Who's the good vibes Super Bowl champion of the preseason?
That's a good question. We spend so many times talking about the teams that have Browns vibes. I think the Saints feel good. Now, Jordan Tyson being out, that's a bummer. That hurts. But I think on the whole, they're pretty happy. I think you look around, like the Broncos, it seems like everybody's happy with what's going on in Denver. I think in Kansas City, because of the rookies. Some of these teams with new coaches, right, like the Giants and the teams like that, the Ravens, the Bills, all those teams feel good about themselves. I'll tell you, I think the Cowboys kind of fit that mold. Like, everybody's just really happy about everything going on in Dallas, which it's Dallas. We know how that goes. That could last for a while. They could lose the first game of the season to the Giants, and everybody's talking about firing everybody. But, I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Dallas. Everybody just seems to be really, really happy with everything going on there. But, listen, when August turns turns to September, that's when things get real, and we're going to find out, who's a contender and who's a pretender.
Yeah, we do this with the Cowboys every year, it feels like. And like, there are very real reasons to be excited about their offense. They should be prolific on that side of the ball. They should score plenty of points. Is their defense really, as much as they're leaning on young players, is their defense really good enough to put them in that bucket of NFC contenders? Because it's a big, crowded bucket.
It is a crowded bucket. Look, I think Christian Parker coming in to replace Eberflus is going to help on the defensive coordinator front. And they had Rashawn Gary. They have Malachi Lawrence and Caleb Downs coming in as first-round picks. Downs looks like a stud. I think look, let's put it this way. If they can be the 20th best defense in football, they're interesting. I don't think they win a Super Bowl like that, but could they go win 11 games and be in the NFC title game? Yeah. So I would say, yeah, I think they can be. But, that defense is going to have to come together. And when you're relying on young guys, listen, there's always bumps in the road.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. He also appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network and has his own Patreon you can subscribe to, The Matt Verderame Show. He joins us every Monday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, one more week of preseason games, and then it's for the money. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. That bit on Deshaun Watson, that did not disappoint. That was exactly what I came for with Matt on that segment today. That was the goods. We'll take a timeout, come back with the good, the bad, and the ugly from the sports and weekend that was. That's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. The good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend that was here to wrap up this first hour of 580 Sports Talk. There's plenty of good from the weekend. The Royals keep on winning. That's a lot of fun. But what was really fun about yesterday's game, Salvador Perez stole a base. Yeah, the 7th of his career. And the first since 2021, Salvador Perez stole second base without a throw. They weren't holding him on, and clearly the Royals saw something exploitable with the Tigers' backup catcher, Eduardo Valencia, back there yesterday, and they ran on him at will. They had 4 other stolen bases. John Rave got second and third. I think it was Rave in the same at bat. Was that Rave? Yeah, it was Rave because Isbell drove him in. That was in the 8th. Anyway, it was early in the game, and Salvador Perez wasn't being held on because, duh, you don't hold Salvador Perez on first base. And he said, all right, I'm going. Send it. And he got in with a head-first slide, and then he turned back to the dugout, and he did the Gerard Dyson, the young jock revving the motorcycle. And I don't know that anybody in that dugout got that reference. I know, like, if you're a longtime follower of the Royals, you enjoyed that, but I don't know who in the Royals dugout would have gotten that reference. I don't know who was None of them were around, obviously. None of them played on those teams, those pennant-winning teams with Gerard Dyson. But, God, that was great. I got the biggest kick out of that. You can be 58-74. You can be a not provably bad baseball team. But when you play 162 games, there are moments of joy, however fleeting, every summer, all summer long. And that was a moment of pure, unadulterated joy, watching Salvador Perez steal a base. That ruled. I enjoyed that a great deal. My bad. You already heard us talk about it with Matt Verderame in the last segment. Deshaun Watson hasn't been good at playing football since, like, the 2010s. And the Browns are going to make him the starting quarterback anyway because they hate their fans. And you know who else hates their fans? Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson hates their fans because they boo him. And they boo him because of that thing I said about him being bad at football. And many of them also boo him because he's a provably bad guy. All of those allegations of assault towards masseuses that he settled, which, yeah, you don't do that if you didn't do anything wrong, right? So the nasty man, Deshaun Watson, went to the podium after the Browns preseason game on Saturday and had the nerve to say something along the lines that I'm paraphrasing of, yeah, I don't know why they're booing me. It really feels personal. It is, buddy. They don't like you. You're not a likable guy. You're a bad person and a worse football player. So, yeah, it's personal. That's why people boo you. I'll boo you too. The utter lack of self-awareness, because he can't say, like, he can't bring himself to say why they might be booing him beyond his play. He can't, because if he says it, it's a tacit admission that he's done some things wrong in his life. And he can't do that, right? You can't admit you're the nasty man. So you just have to pretend, they're booing me and I can't figure out why. That's weird. So that was my bad. You know, something has to be worse than that to be the ugly. People throwing sex toys onto the court at professional sporting events. It's dumb anywhere you do it, but it's really bad when you're trying to do it at WNBA games. You think it's cool, you think it's fresh, you think it's funny. What I can guarantee is that the people who think it's funny to do that and make a mockery of the game and make a mockery of the participants and the fans and the professional athletes who are part of the WNBA, the people who think it's funny to make a mockery of that are probably the same people who will turn around with the other side of their mouth and talk to you about how important it is that you save women's sport. We got to protect women's sports that you don't give a damn about and that you don't respect in the first place. And speaking of dildos on the court, Enes Kanter freedom. Oh, my goodness, look at that. We've got to take a break. When we come back in the 4 o'clock hour, we're talking Chiefs preseason, and maybe the Royals will never lose another baseball game. Plus, what is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk?
Arrow and Spencer Dupuis talking sports in Topeka. This is 580 Sports Talk.
Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk coming your way on this Monday. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. We're online at 580WIBW.com. We're on the MSC Radio app, and we're on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Hanging out with you until 6 o'clock today. No Royals baseball tonight. They are off today, which means the winning streak will continue to tomorrow. 8 in a row for the boys in blue. We'll talk a little Royals baseball later on this hour. It is almost certainly, almost probably, almost definitely too late to matter for 2026. But it's not a 0% chance. This is one of those Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's a chance moments. No, I'm not, but the math says there is. Royals won 8 straight, but they're 58-74. But they're only 7.5 back of the wild card. But they got to climb over everybody in the wretched American League. But the American League, as I just said, is wretched. I was looking at their schedule, Spencer, the rest of the way. There are only 2 teams left on the Royals schedule that I would even call kind of good. And that's Arizona, who they get at home second week of September, and Boston, who they get right after the Arizona series, incidentally enough. They go on the road that second weekend of September. They go out to Fenway. And even those teams, I can only get to kind of good with them.
Yeah.
Because, I know Boston got crazy hot for a month and a half, but I look at their infield every day, and they're rolling out 4 utility guys as their starting infield. And Arizona continues to give Merrill Kelly starts, and he has kind of been the pitching equivalent of Salvador Perez this year. He keeps playing, and there are moments, but the WAR doesn't lie. F WAR, B WAR don't lie. They say they've been the
I don't know. You sounded like I was obviously not on the show Friday while you were down at Smoothie King.
Yes.
And I had the show on as I was driving home, and you were kind of talking down Salvador Perez a little bit, and he had a pretty good weekend.
He did have a good weekend.
He stole a base for the first time in 3 seasons.
5 seasons. Yeah,
he has an 88% steal rate or something. That's more than a lot of Royals players.
What is his career? Because Sal hasn't really tried a lot of stolen. He's 7 for 8. Yeah. 7 for 8 lifetime. Now I got to know who threw him out. He was 1 for 2. He was 1 for 2 in 2018. Now I got to know who threw him out. How fast can I find that answer? He was caught stealing. His only career caught stealing came against the Oakland A's on June 2nd of 2018, and the catcher that day was Bruce Maxwell.
Who?
Bruce Maxwell.
I don't know who that guy is.
I know who that is. I saw him play in college at Division III Birmingham Southern College. He played against my brother in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
The more you know.
Also, had a role in some of the national anthem protests that were very much a going concern in year 2016, 2017. And I have no interest in relitigating those, so let's just keep it moving. But that's what I remember Bruce Maxwell for. Those 2 things. Taking a knee during the national anthem. I'm not telling you how to feel about that. I don't want to relitigate that. But also for being a Division III guy who played against my brother, and he was the best player in that league. As you can probably imagine, a guy who made the major leagues for 3 years was the best player in a Division III league.
I would say so.
Not by a little bit either. He was pretty awesome in college. Anyhow, Bruce Maxwell, there's your trivia answer. If you really want to get in the weeds with Royals trivia, you now know the name of the catcher. The one catcher to throw out Salvador Perez trying to steal. His 87.
That's a Royals trivia question down the line.
87.5% career stolen base rate. Yeah, I did kind of dog on Sal, and he had a good weekend. He homered. Again, He's up to 319. Everybody had a good weekend. The vibes are high for the first time in a long time. And I don't feel like that's a coincidence. And we'll talk about that.
Dare we say the boys are playing some ball?
We can say that. We can say that. Because like, it's one thing to beat up the A's. They're terrible. But the Tigers, ostensibly, a team still kind of playing for something, and had their best pitcher this year, Troy Melton, going on Friday, and the Royals beat him. And then they took care of business on Saturday. Michael Wacha was terrific. And then Sunday, they win that game, a bit of a wild one. Both teams kind of going with bullpen-ish games. And Royals tiptoed out of some big trouble in the 6th and 7th inning and found a way to win that one. So we'll get more into the Royals a little bit later on in the program today. Also going to talk some Chiefs. Are we worried about Harrison Butker? Those were 2 rough misses yesterday.
But he made it Saturday, 69-yard.
He did make it. It was very nice. He made a 69-yard field goal. But he missed 2 kicks that you ought to make if you've got enough leg for 69. So we'll talk about that and other players who maybe are a bit of a concern through 2 games. We're excited about certain guys. I think there are a lot of guys to be excited about through 2 preseason games with, the appropriate preseason level of excited. There are some players we need to be the appropriate preseason level of concerned about. We also got What Is Wrong With You coming up this hour. Still have sports headlines coming up on the show today. Plenty of those to get to. Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, will join us at 5:25 for a training camp report brought to us by Azure Credit Union and Hy-Vee. We'll also hear from Andy Reid. He spoke to the media today. It's a short week, but it's a game week. So Andy speaks on Monday during game weeks. And we'll play Andy Reid's comments. He had a lot to say coming off of that preseason loss to the Buccaneers on Saturday. And some injury updates as well. We'll get to those later on as well. Text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Appreciate your texts. Couple of those coming in from the 785 text. This came in last night from the 785, and it just reads, "This is so Royals." And I know exactly what he means.
Yeah.
To offer a little bit of false hope here as we emerge from the dog days and come up on the final month of what is, again, almost certainly, almost definitely a lost season. This is so Royals. No, you're right. You're right about that one, texter. Thank you for the text. Even after hours, the text line is open, 785-272-9429. Also, find us on YouTube, name of the channel, 580 Sports Talk. Appreciate everybody keeping the chat lively on this Monday.
Hey, if you have late-night thoughts, you can text the text line.
Yeah.
About sports. Only late-night thoughts about sports.
I'm not here to tell the people what to text the text line. The YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe. Wednesday, Spencer and I are eating wings. That's our thank you to all of you who got us up over 1,000 subscribers. We can now start to build towards the next 1,000, and or at least the next 100. When we get to 1,100, we'll do something else to debase ourselves for your pleasure. But Wednesday, 5:06. We are going to do the Hot Wing Challenge here on 580 Sports Talk. There were some comments earlier in the live chat when I was reminding people of that at the top of the 3 o'clock hour today, suggesting that actually milk is a bad choice, if I may paraphrase Ron Burgundy, when it comes to defeating the level of spice. Now, I have not found it to be, in my experience. I have found milk to be an acceptable option.
Yes, me too.
But apparently, there's a study out there that says it's not the best move.
What's the best move?
The commenter did not elaborate. That is left for us to try and determine, should we need it. The goal is to stare each other dead in the face and take it like a G and not need it, and then talk to Mitch Holthus with our lips on fire.
We're not going to talk to Mitch Holthus, are we?
Yeah, we are. We're on Wednesday.
At what time?
5:15. We're off at 5:30. We're going to call it 5:15.
Oh. I assumed that this was our entire last half hour of the show.
No, we're hitting the ground running. 5:06. We got the wings. We're eating them, and we'll see what happens the rest of the hour, half hour, because we'll be off at 5:30. Gird your loins, Spencer. We're gonna have a good time on Wednesday. We hope you'll join us either over the air or on the YouTube. Again, the YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. All right. There's a lot of guys I think have played well through 2 preseason games for the Chiefs. And we've talked about them. Talked about Felix Anudike-Uzomah at length in the first hour. R. Mason Thomas has been real good. Matt Verderame, our NFL insider. Our thanks again to Matt for joining us in the 3 o'clock hour. Matt says he thinks that R. Mason Thomas has been the most impressive of the Chiefs defenders. Gosh, he's quick. I mean, that's what it looks like.
Yes.
When they talk about get off, that's what they mean. They're talking about that from R. Mason Thomas. Jaden Hicks continues to have a solid preseason. Emmett Johnson has played 2 solid games, switching to the offensive side of the ball. Been some highlights. We got highlights and lowlights from Harrison Butker on Saturday. They brought him out for that 69-yard field goal, and he made it with room to spare. Man, like,
it could have been good from like 74.
I think that if I had been like 12 years old and you went back in time to tell me that guys would be making 69, 70-yard field goals at sea level without the help of wind, I would not believe it. Like, you have to understand, 63 stood forever. That was the record for the longest.
Yeah.
And the guy who said it didn't have any toes. Tom Dempsey, he had that round shoe at the end because he didn't have any toes. He didn't have a whole foot. So he was kicking with a different appendage than anybody else, kicking straight on. And when it finally did get tied, it was at altitude. It was Jason Elam, the Broncos kicker, and he made it Mile High Stadium where, okay, yeah, it's 5,280 feet above sea level. The ball carries a little different here. I never would have believed as a kid we'd see anything beyond 60. 63 felt untouchable. It felt like, why would you even bother unless it was an emergency? Why would you even bother to try? Now Brandon Aubrey from 62. Yeah, sure. Routine. Like, oh, the Cowboys had a decent kick return. I guess they're in field goal range. And then Butker knocks it through from 69. It would have been good from 75. Like, he hit the net on that kick. It didn't scrape its way over the crossbar. He crushed it. And then he doinked an extra point that was, in fairness, 10 yards further back than a typical extra point. And then from about a similar distance, he missed a kick wide right that would have given the Chiefs the lead in the fourth quarter. It's why they lost the game 16-15. Butker missed 4 extra points last year. That was a
noted thing.
31 of 35. Just didn't feel as sharp, even though it was not his worst year percentage-wise, field goal-wise. It was not his worst season. Even though I think he only missed 2 kicks in the last 7 or 8 weeks of the season, it still felt like Butker's reliability was beginning to diminish a little bit, to the point where I think if you were on social media on Saturday, a lot of what you saw when Butker made, because he made one from 59, the preseason opener, and then he makes a 69-yard field goal, and everybody's saying Butker's back, like he'd left, like he'd gone somewhere. I'm not worried about Harrison Butker. I'm not worried about him, and the reason I'm not worried about him, are you familiar, Spencer? I don't know. You don't play much golf, right?
I mean, I like golf.
Sure.
I'm just a bad golfer.
No. Whom among us, Spencer? That might be the most relatable thing you've ever said on this program. I think there are a lot of people going, yeah, I know that's right.
I just tend to not put my money there because I know it's not going to be good.
So you may be familiar then with the concept of the two-way miss. Off the tee, you refer to a golfer who just sprays it. They have a two-way miss.
Yeah.
Like, you can stand up on the tee, like, this is me. I got a two-way miss off the tee. Sometimes I just slice it off the planet, and I'm lefty, so my slice goes to the left. I slice it off the planet. Other times, I get into my hip turn too soon, and I pull it right, like I'm pulling a foul ball into the third base bleachers. I got two-way miss. It means my swing mechanics are not consistent. I'm not grooved. I got two-way miss. Harrison Butker's got a one-way miss. And the difference between having a two-way miss and a one-way miss, if you got a two-way miss, you're all over the place. But if you've got a one-way miss, you just got to get back in the lab, man, and just dial it in. His one-way miss is when his kick that is supposed to draw, again, we think of that in golf terms. Yeah. He's a right-footed kicker. Draw moves right to left. His kick that is supposed to draw, and one of his field goals, the field goal he hit made it 6-0. It was noted on the broadcast by Trent Green. That was his perfect little draw that he hits. The doinked extra point didn't draw. And the missed field goal on the right hash, he tried to draw that in from outside the crossbar to the center, and it didn't draw. It just didn't move. It's a one-way miss. So that's why I'm not concerned about Harrison Butker. I think he's going to be fine. I'm not real worried about
Me neither.
The long-term ramifications of Butker missing that kick. It was just especially jarring, I think, because like Butker never misses the important kick. That's his whole career, right? How many big kicks, game-winning kicks, championship-winning kicks that Harrison Butker has on his resume. So for him to miss a low-stakes go-ahead field goal, even with the low stakes, felt really bizarre. Like, man, Harrison usually doesn't miss in those spots. So that's what I think made it feel a little bit more disconcerting than it would have otherwise felt to see it miss a preseason kick. But I'm not worried. It's a one-way miss. He'll get in the lab. He'll be fine. Other guys, though, that through 2 preseason games, I do have some concerns about. I'll start with Jared Wiley. Jared Wiley had a drop. He did have one nice catch on a rollout. I want to say it was Nussmeier rolling to his right and hit him on an out pattern that was a nice catch. Wiley had to go up, get it at its highest point, but he made a nice catch. He was able to get an extra yard or 2 on the run. But he also had a bad drop over the middle and 2 bad penalties, including one on the extra point that took the extra point off the board. How do you hold an extra point? You never see it.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know how that happens. But if Jared Wiley's going to be tight end number 3 on this team, he's got to be a lot more reliable as a blocker and as a catcher of passes, because the Chiefs will turn to somebody who maybe has a little bit more juice in the receiving game. Right now, that's Jake Brenningstool. We saw a lot of the tight ends. I do kind of think that was by design. It was also probably because there's been a lot of injuries at wide receiver for the Chiefs, so they were running a lot of 2 tight end stuff just because they didn't have as many bodies at wide receiver. But we saw a lot of Brenningstool, and we saw a lot of Wiley. We saw enough, for me, of Trey Watson yeeting that slant route into the hands of a Buccaneers player for the interception that flipped the game. But the Chiefs are more invested in Wiley because he was the 3rd-round pick. But Brenningstool looks better to me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought all along Brenningstool was going to make the roster. But I really thought after this game, just what he's able to do with the ball, and I think he's also a tall tight end. He's 6'6".
Mm-hmm.
So I think that having that ability to go up maybe down the middle, when they develop him, right? Like, he is still, I think, a developmental project, right? Like, I think he missed all of last year, so he's still developing into an NFL player. And if you can at least make him your second guy next year, maybe, right? With Travis Kelce presumably retired, I think a guy at 6'6", if you can make him your tight end number 2 or 3, because I'm assuming he's going to be 4 if they keep Wiley. He's still in development.
Like, I don't think they're going to cut Wiley, but I think there's an opportunity for Brenningstool to move ahead of him on the depth chart as things go. Just haven't seen enough. Like, I know he's finally healthy and is still kind of catching up from having lost a year of development, but at some point that does kind of stop being an excuse, or it has to stop being an excuse.
You know who I really liked in this game? Jalen Royals, yeah, we probably didn't give him as much of a mention as we should have in the opening segment. But yeah, 6 catches for 51 yards. Shifty. He got the ball and he was shifty.
He's made 5 tacklers miss in 2 preseason games, which is more than any other wide receiver in the NFL. I did mention that stat. That was the skill set that we kind of expected to see when he was drafted out of Utah State. That was the skill set that he was supposed to bring. And he had a solid start to his camp in preseason last year, and then he got hurt, and he fell behind. And he fell so far behind that he can never get back on the field. But I did say he sort of feels like the Felix Anudike-Uzomah of the offense to me, where we kind of written him off. We've kind of just said
year 2 for him.
Yeah, it's harsh, but I do think we felt like, all right, well, maybe he can't play. If he can't get out there in games that don't matter and get targets in games that don't matter, maybe he just can't play. Maybe the Chiefs aren't playing him because he can't play. Well, he looked like he could play yesterday. And between him and Andrew Armstrong and Cyrus Allen, I do think you feel better about receivers 4, 5, and 6 right now than you did going into camp. That's not to say there aren't still some question marks there, but you feel a little better having seen some of it on the field, and obviously the camp that Cyrus Allen has had. I want to talk about right tackle because Khalil Benson, to me, we got to see him at right tackle, and you know what it looked like to me? It looked like a guard. It looked like a guard playing tackle. And that is both complimentary because there was one play, oh gosh, it was a screen pass, and I don't remember, it was early in the game, so it might have been, was it DeMercado? Was it Brashard's? Or was it a receiver screen? It was a screen to the right. And that meant that they got Benson out in space. And Benson out in space buried somebody. And you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Kingsley Suamataia as a rookie in his first start at right tackle in the game against the Ravens, where he got out in space as the lead blocker on an end-around touchdown run for Xavier Worthy and just crushed a defensive back. And Matt Verderame made the same kind of comparison between Suamataia and Benson in the sense that he can block you, and these were Matt's words, he can block you when you're in front of him. The problem is when you play tackle, you're not in that phone booth a lot of the times. You got guys lined up as wide nines. You have to deal with blitz pressure from the edge. You are dealing with a different kind of block that you have to make. You have to move your feet different. You have to have a different kind of punch. You have to have a different level of get off yourself, off the ball. And Benson just got beat in those situations fairly routinely by Reuben Bain in particular. And so, to me, I think that he's a tackle in an emergency. Looks a lot more like a guard to me playing tackle, which that's what everybody thought he was coming out of college. If the Chiefs find a UDFA as a reserve guard and emergency tackle as an extra offensive lineman, like that's pretty good. That's nothing to be ashamed of for Khalil Benson. He makes some good money doing that. But I want to see Jalen Moore back there. Even if Josh Simmons doesn't go in the preseason finale, I want to see Moore back there at right tackle with the other starters when they are out there, presuming that we see at least Humphrey and Suamataia. We may not see Trey Smith. There might be Benson back to right guard. But I want to see what it looks like at right tackle, so I think he's probably the best option there. And you got to hold your breath on that a little bit. You can work around a weak link on the offensive line.
Yeah.
You can. Ways around that. And I don't think that Moore is going to be like totally unplayable. Like Suamataia kind of proved that he was, which is why he didn't play tackle anymore after week 2 years ago. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't. But if Josh Simmons has to miss some more time and you have to play Moore at left tackle and Benson kicks out to right tackle, I don't think that's a situation that the Chiefs want. Like we were talking about this in the first hour. Everybody's concerned about offensive line injuries, but you really feel like the Chiefs' situation is pretty tenuous if Josh Simmons doesn't play 17 games. Like, you really want to see him out there for all 17. We'll take a break. Your text line's open, 785-272-9429. Texter for the 816 pointed out and thought it was worth mentioning, and it is worth mentioning because he's a former Kansas Jayhawk. Jalen Daniels.
UDFA to backup quarterback?
Looks like, I'll tell you this, I think he's better than Jake Browning.
Yeah.
I'd take him over Jake Browning right now. Now, the issue that Daniels will have in the league is the same issue that he had in college, and NFL teams will be a lot more ruthless with this. You just have to get pressure in his face. But if Daniels, like, he moves the pocket, he moves well in the pocket, and he's not scared. Like, he tried to run that ball in, the goal line got smacked. Like, he's out there playing fearless. He looks comfortable. I don't think that he is the reason that the Buccaneers don't like jettison Baker Mayfield because, well, we got Jalen Daniels. I don't know that we're there yet with him, but it has been cool to see him succeed and have some highlights in the preseason. He does. He looks like an NFL player out there, which is obviously there was some question about that. Otherwise, he would have been drafted. So good for Jalen Daniels. That is worth noticing. Thank you, Texter from the 816, for making sure that we gave a shout to. I guess he's JD10 now.
Yeah.
Can't very well be 6 on the Buccaneers.
You can't be
this
5
second.
either.
No, Jake Browning's got 5. But
I was making a Jaden Daniels joke.
Oh, yeah, can't be can't be 5. No, nobody can be 5. Jake Browning, very disrespectful wearing that number. Anyhow, but JD 10 looks like an NFL player. We got What Is Wrong With You coming. We'll talk a little Royals baseball. Still lots more to come on this edition of 580 Sports Talk.
(272-9429).
It is What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. We've got 2 brand new stories for this final full week of August. We'll crown a champion for this week on Thursday. Have the What Is Wrong With You semifinals for the month on Friday. Then Monday is August 31st. We'll crown our 8th monthly champion of the year. And our tournament of failed champions will be 2/3 full. Our bracket will be 2/3 complete. 2 new stories today. I'm going to go first. We're going to Boston. You ever see Ferris Bueller's Day Off,
Yes.
Spencer? Classic, right?
Yeah.
One of the great, this is on cable. I'm going to jump in right now and watch the rest of it.
Oh, yeah.
Kind
One
of
of
movie.
those ones where you don't need to watch the beginning of the movie because you've seen it so many times, but you're like, it's so good.
The best example of that, by the way, I don't think I've seen the first 10 minutes of Shawshank Redemption more than one time.
I don't think I've seen Armageddon.
Like the beginning of it?
No, I mean, probably one time when I watched it in full, but it's always on TV.
Oh, yeah. We're going to Boston for a story straight out of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. We had somebody take a car from an auto shop and take it on a joyride. A young mom from Roxbury says her car was supposed to be in an auto repair shop. Instead, it was out on the road. Her dash cam captured it driving around Boston and into Weymouth. Shayna Morales says the recording shows her Hyundai Tucson. You're taking a Hyundai Tucson for a joyride?
What?
Little less cool than the scene in Ferris Bueller's Day. Like, you could understand they wanted to feed a little speed to Cameron's dad's. What was that? A Porsche or was it a Corvette? I can't remember now. The red sports car.
I think it was a Corvette.
Was it a Vet? I think you're right. I think you're right. But it's been a while since I've seen it, obviously. But anyway, no, this is a Hyundai Tucson somebody took, racking up tolls going through the Ted Williams Tunnel. The car's odometer showed it logged hundreds of miles. So Morales dropped her car off at River Street Auto Center in Hyde Park, which she says was recommended to her by her extended warranty company, ProGuard. Days later, she spotted her car at a red light with a woman she didn't know behind the wheel. I was flabbergasted, Morales said. I go up to her and I'm like, why are you driving my vehicle? And she's like, I'm driving it from Weymouth. And I asked, why is my vehicle in Weymouth when I dropped it at the shop in Hyde Park? She didn't answer. The light turned green and she drove off with my car while I'm walking to the train. Morales says the mechanic at the shop told her the woman driver was his stepdaughter. The I-Team at CBS Boston, WBZ, went to River Street Auto Center to ask them about it. A man told the I-Team that he didn't know the Morales and said he would look into it and get back to us. Using the car wasn't the worst of it. Morales said the shop replaced the transmission with a faulty one and took photos that she says showed damage to her car when she got it back. Concerned about safety, Morales, who has a 1-year-old, took her car to the Hyundai dealership in Braintree to be evaluated, and documents show mechanics found the transmission could give out at any time.
Jeez.
Morales tried reaching out to the shop and the warranty company for help. When I called ProGuard, they said, well, we're not going to fix it. We're sorry we sent you there, but we're not going to fix it. You have to speak to River Street Auto Center. When I texted River Street Auto Center, he's like, well, unfortunately, you're going to have to get in contact with ProGuard. Nobody ever seems to help me, end quote. Morales eventually did get a text approving her repairs from ProGuard at the Hyundai dealership. ProGuard did not provide a statement, but in a series of emails to the I-Team, denied recommending the shop or requiring Morales to take it there for the warranty repair. The I-Team reached back out to the River Street Auto Center. The manager said he would respond, but did not. I bet.
Yeah.
It was a Ferrari, by the way,
yes.
in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. From the 785. Thank you for keeping us honest. It was a Ferrari. Should have known. It was red. Yeah, bad job by me. Anyway, that's my story. What do you got today, Spencer?
Yeah, we're going to old Florida, and a man was riding dirty, but not just driving any old vehicle. A Florida deputy arrested a man in Old Town, Florida last week after stopping him on a red lawnmower and discovering narcotics inside a bag between his feet. A deputy with the Dixie County Sheriff's Office Narcotics Interdiction Unit spotted the man operating a red lawnmower southbound in Old Town on August 19th. Because a standard lawnmower does not meet the safety requirements to operate as a registered vehicle on state or county roadways, the deputy pulled over the driver, later identified as Roy Lee McDaniel. While speaking with McDaniel, the deputy said he smelled a strong odor of marijuana coming from him, the mower, or both. According to DCSO, McDaniel admitted he had smoked marijuana earlier and told the deputy that the items on the mower included a gray bag positioned between his feet belonged to him. Deputies said they conducted a probable cause search of the bag and found marijuana pills, later identified as clonazepam. I don't know what that is.
Clonazepam.
A hypodermic needle.
Hypodermic needle.
Hypodermic needle, sorry. And a substance believed to be crystal methamphetamine. The suspected methamphetamine was tested using their ways, returning a positive result for meth. McDaniel was taken to custody, transferred to the Dixie County Jail without incident. He faces possession of methamphetamine, possession of controlled substance without prescription, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Dude, why are you driving your red lawnmower down the road when you're not supposed to be? Also, it's red, so it's not like it's a black or green or something. It's gonna really stick out. Not that a lawnmower doesn't already stick out.
Did you need to bring the meth with you? Is the question. Like, you got places to go and only one method of transportation to get there. Hey, look, I'm not here to judge. Sometimes you got to take the lawnmower to, I don't know, Casey's or the auto parts store to fix your car. I don't know.
Casey's to get some pizza.
Casey's to get some pizza. Or, I don't know if they got Casey's in Old Town, Florida. Whatever they got.
It is funny though that,
but like you don't. Did you need did the meth need to make the trip?
Yeah, no. It's funny though. He didn't just get pulled over by a regular like traffic deputy. He got pulled over by literally a drug interdiction unit. So the guy was going to know right away.
Yeah.
More than any other just regular cop.
Yeah, that's tough luck.
Specifically trained.
Yeah, that guy's specifically trained to
know where drugs are.
To know exactly where they are. That's a pretty good story today. But man, that auto body shop put a worse transmission in the car.
And now they don't want to.
And drove it hundreds of miles.
Yeah.
That is so messed up to do to somebody. I think that like like that's awful. Like I don't know how you could see that story in the Boston area. Like that place got to go out of business.
Yeah.
You can't ever take your car to a place that's going to put a worse transmission. Yeah, we fixed your transmission. We put a worse one in there. Our bad. But hey, we tested it out.
Yeah.
We checked it out for you. We put it on the road for hundreds of miles, and it held up.
It's surely road tested.
Can't be that bad. That's our winner. That person's day off. The mechanic's stepdaughter's day off is our winner on 580 Sports Talk on What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, what if the Kansas City Royals simply never lose another baseball game? We have to ask the question. It's coming up on 580 Sports Talk. .443 here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you until 6 o'clock tonight. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. Can also interact with us in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. The Kansas City Royals can't lose. All of a sudden, they are red hot, winners of 8 straight. They swept the Tigers, took the season series from the Tigers, which always nice to say you've done that against a division rival. With a trio of wins over the weekend, a 5-2 win on Friday, a 3-1 win behind 7 stellar innings from Michael Wacha on Saturday, and then a wild 11-7 victory on Sunday, which the Royals jumped out to a 5-1 lead. Mason Black gave it all back in the 5th. I've seen about enough of Mason Black. And then the Royals got it right back off of rookie Andrew Sears making his big league debut. John Rave with a big home run. Vinny Pasquantino and Salvador Perez also driving in runs in Kansas City's 4-run 5th. The Tigers then loaded the bases in the 6th and the 7th with nobody out and managed to score just 1 run in each of those 2 innings. Could not pull any closer than 9-7. Royals got a couple insurance runs in the 8th. Kyle Isbell had a big weekend. Nick Lofton hit a big homer yesterday.
I think he had 3 RBIs, 4 RBIs.
Isbell,
that homer.
The homer, who's that?
Not Isbell.
Lofton.
Yeah,
Lofton.
He was like 3 for 4.
Yeah, Lofton drove in 4 yesterday. Big game for him. Isbell homered twice on the weekend. It was a good weekend of baseball for the Kansas City Royals. And now the record is 58-74. For those who were worried that this team might lose 100 games, that now feels like that's probably not going to happen. They're 5 wins away from avoiding at least that bit of season-long ignominy. They're 7.5 out of a wild card spot. If you want that information, you can have it. There are only 4 teams in the American League with a winning record. I said earlier there are only 2 teams I think the Royals play left that are good, and it's Arizona and Boston. I think those are the only 2 teams left that I would say, yeah, those are at least kind of good teams. And Christopher in the YouTube comment said, well, what about the White Sox? I don't think anybody else in the American League is good.
Yeah.
I think that the White Sox are 68 and 62 because they play in the American League Central. And more broadly, because they play in the American League. And somebody has to win those baseball games. And the White Sox are only 6 over 500. I don't think anybody outside the 370 win teams in the East is any good. Certainly nobody in the West is good. Certainly nobody else in the Central is good. Christopher also asked about Miami, who I kind of checked out on them when they lost a bunch of games in a row. I guess they're back over 500 because Griffin, what did they lose? Coming out of the All-Star break, they lost 9 in a row. And I kind of checked out on the Marlins. They are back over 500 because Griffin Conine is hitting like Barry Bonds since he got healthy.
They swept my team over the weekend.
Did they? I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's okay. The Nats can beat up on the Rockies for the next 3 days.
Can and will. The Marlins, I can't get there with them yet. 67 and 64. I cannot call them good. I can't do that yet. They traded their best hitter at the trade deadline, Liam Hicks. He was their best hitter, and they traded him at the deadline. So I can't get there with them. But I say all that to say that if this team was hiding in those powder blues all season long, would have been nice to have seen them a little earlier than this. Would have been nice to have seen them run off a stretch like this in May or June, because they just swept Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Detroit looks cooked. They're 61 and 69. Provably, I think, bad. They're only 3.5 out of a wild card spot. That's it. 3 games. We talked at the All-Star break that there were 6 games that the Royals would have won if they could tie their own shoes, and they didn't. Like the game where Quatrero messed up the bullpen, and the other game where Quatrero messed up the bullpen, and that other game where
the next game,
Matt Quatrero mishandled the bullpen. But like 3 games, like half of those 6 games that we pointed out at the All-Star break, if they'd gone differently, the Royals will be 3.5 out. And at that point, if you are only 3.5 out of a playoff spot on August 24th, then yes, you are playing meaningful baseball. As ridiculous as that is to say about the Detroit Tigers, who have run up the white flag on this season and are 8 games under 500, they are still playing meaningful baseball at this stage in the season. So are the Mariners, who reek and have terrible vibes. Lost 19-2 to the Cubs yesterday. And you think, well, surely that was their most lopsided loss of the week. Wrong! Because they lost 22-0 to the Brewers earlier. That team is gross. They're also 3 games out of a playoff spot and 3 games out of first place. So that's like, the Royals could be just as stinky as we know them to be, but still playing meaningful baseball in the mud slop pile that is the American League playoff race, for the one good relief pitcher, or a little less stubbornness when it came to Lucas Erceg and Matt Strahm. Like, that's it. Just, if they pulled the ripcord on those guys a month earlier, the Royals might actually be in the hunt and not fake in the hunt. But I don't think it's a coincidence that things have turned in a positive direction for the Royals in the last 7 days, because you know who has been a Royal for the last 7 days? The Good Vibes King, Vinny Pasquantino. And it's not just that Vinny's the Good Vibes King. Vinny's the Good Vibes King when he's hitting, and Vinny's hitting. Vinny hit a pair of home runs on the homestand. He's got his season OPS back up over 700, which means it's back up over league average. The batting average is up to 245. The on-base percentage at 329. Right now, that's better than it's been since his rookie season. He's getting on base at a better clip than he has since he was a rookie. And while I was skeptical because of the nature of his injury, the hamate bone injury, it looks like he's hitting the ball with some authority. And, boy, the Royals needed somebody else in their lineup, especially with Jack Caglione dealing with an injury and not having been in the lineup the last couple of days. They needed somebody else in that lineup hitting the ball with authority. But Vinny's going great guns, and Bobby Witt Jr.'s been hot. And crazy thing, when your best players and your leaders play well, you tend to play winning baseball. And the Royals have done that over the last 8 games. Now, they go to Toronto. Toronto's wretched. They go to Cleveland. Cleveland stinks. I know they just swept Colorado in Colorado. Congrats. Hang the banner. That team, that is the worst offense in baseball. Just an absolute tire fire of an offense. The only problem, though, like I would like to say something along the lines of, hey, if the Royals can keep this going, the Royals can win, go out on the road and win 4 out of 6. The Royals are the worst home team in baseball. Or road team, excuse me. They've actually played fairly well at the K this year. But they are the worst road team in baseball. Trying to get the extended standings here to pull up the exact totals here. The Royals this year are 22-44 away from home. 22 road wins. The Angels have one more road win than that. The notoriously terrible away from their home ballpark Colorado Rockies have one more road win than that. They're the worst road team in baseball. And again, that's another thing. Like if they were just like garden variety lousy on the road, they would be playing meaningful games. They wouldn't be good. They're a long way from having the kind of record or having the kind of track record where you could say they're a good team. But look, man, there's 6 playoff spots and they're not going to fill themselves. And they're out there for the plucking. And what the Royals have shown in the last 8 games worth of baseball is that they're no worse than any of these teams that are 3 games out or 2 games out, like Minnesota, Baltimore. These teams are puke. Their fans don't even want to watch them, and they're 3 games out of a playoff spot. The Mariners. Could have been the Royals. It really could have been. Text from the 785. I agree with Denny Matthews. A losing team should not be eligible for the playoffs in any sport. Look, man, they got to fill the field. I don't know what to tell you. Baseball decided it decided when they introduced the wild card. So back in 1994. But baseball has long made the calculation, and more has made the calculation that you would rather watch a meaningful October with more teams than watch a regular season that means something. They have decided that October is more saleable than March through September. And so the offshoot of that is it's easier to make the playoffs, so there's less impetus for teams to try and build great teams to make the playoffs. So then you get a bunch of lousy teams and Drek fighting for the 6th seed in the American League. That's what Major League Baseball decided that we wanted was October. Prioritize October over the regular season. That was their decision. Whether you agree with it or not, I certainly don't. Before we take a break and wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk, got to shout out the folks at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon. Got some more rain over the weekend, which means your car might have been out in the rain. Your car might have gotten dirty. You need to go see the folks at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon, the locally owned choice for a car wash here in the capital city, with prices for some of their washes as much as half price of their competitors. With the towel dry so there's no streaks in your shine, they will treat your car like a gem, like the gem that it is. Go see them. And hey, Ultimate Wash Passes, you can get your car washed anytime it rains. You can get your car washed anytime you want. You can get it washed twice a day if you really want to. Your Ultimate Wash Pass starts as low as $19 a month. $19 a month to get your car washed as often as you want. Go see him. Soar with the Eagle once a week. Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon at Fairlawn Plaza in Topeka. Back to wrap up the hour here after this.
Show? Subscribe to our YouTube channel at 580 Sports Talk.
Wrapping up the 4 o'clock hour here on 580 Sports Talk, we have a text from the 913 saying that he heard that the Royals have a winning record when Carter Jensen starts at catcher. 72 starts behind the plate for Jensen this year, and I can't readily, certainly not in the next minute and change that we have here, find what the Royals' record is when he starts behind the plate. He's made 80 appearances behind the plate, but he has started 72 games. I will say this, though. Baseball Reference says he's been about 2 wins more valuable than Salvador Perez this year. So it does not surprise me that the Royals would be a better team when he's behind the plate. More defensive value there. Certainly has been more offensively valued or provided more offensive value than Perez has this year. He got off the schneid a little bit, had a decent weekend, hit a homer on Friday night. He hadn't homered in a while. That was his 17th, a long one to straightaway center field. League average offense from a 22-year-old catcher with pop and some solid defensive work. The Royals have a good one. And I don't know that he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I think the guy we saw for the Tigers, McGonigal's going to run away with that. But Royals have a good one behind the plate for the next handful of years. The torch being passed from the best catcher in franchise history to one who might wind up in that conversation when all's said and done. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we got headlines. We got Mitch Holthus at 5:25. We'll hear from Andy Reid. That's all coming up in the final hour of 580 Sports Talk.
Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis talking sports in Topeka. This is 580 Sports Talk.
Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis with you here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on the MSC Radio app, and on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. We appreciate you being here with you until 6 o'clock. Still plenty more to do here in this final hour of the show. Got a mess of 580 Sports Talk headlines to get to today. We've also got Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, joining us at 5:25. We still call them training camp reports, even though training camp is over. Practice today was at One Arrowhead Drive. A short week, but a game week for the Chiefs, a chance to simulate what a game week is going to be like, and then they will conclude the preseason on Friday at home against the Seattle Seahawks. You'll be able to hear that game on our sister station, the Big 94.5 Country, coming up on Friday night. Pre-game coverage at 6 o'clock ahead of the 7 o'clock kick from Arrowhead Stadium. And on these training camp reports with Mitch Holthus, which are, again, brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union, we have a theme each week, typically. And the theme of this week is Rookie Week. It'll be a shortened Rookie Week this year because of the, well, I guess we always have a preseason checklist or a game checklist on Friday as is. So we'll only get 4 rookies on Rookie Week. But the first of our rookies is a rookie that we've already talked about on the program today. Talked about at length because he's been really impressive. Provides a skill set the Chiefs maybe haven't had in a handful of years. Talking about R. Mason Thomas. We're going to hear some exclusive audio from him. Mitch Holthus is going to tell us all about the second-round pick out of Oklahoma coming up on our training camp report in about 17 minutes from now. Speaking of the Chiefs, we'll also hear from Andy Reid, who did speak after practice today out there at One Arrowhead Drive. Had some injury updates and some other thoughts on the Chiefs as they head into their final preseason game. That's coming up later on this hour. Want to hear from you today on the text line, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Can also interact with us in the live chat on YouTube. Name of the channel, once again, 580 Sports Talk. That is, again, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel. Wednesday at this time, Spencer and I will be eating hot wings. Hot wings.
Can I address a texture from the 785?
Yes, you may.
Why would I call out?
You sounded a little concerned.
I'm not concerned.
You sounded a little concerned.
I'm not concerned.
You sounded a little concerned.
I'm ready to go.
You were definitely thrown off by the fact that, no, man, like we're going to do the rest of our show. We're just going to eat the wings.
I just presumed that we were going to go to Mitch at like 4:35.
No, we're going to Mitch 5:15.
And then we were just going to...
We're eating wings. We're coming back. The theme is going to hit at 5:06. I'm going to do my usual intro. You're going to have the wings. You're going to go pick them up from our friends at Hooters.
Yes,
we're
shout out Hooters.
Wings. Shout out to Hooters. And then about 5:07, we're throwing down on the wings.
Where?
So the parameters
Are
of
we doing this right over there?
We're doing it right in here.
Okay.
Right in here.
So we gotta recruit somebody to get back here.
Not necessarily. You can start the show, fade the music, and walk around. I'm not going to do it immediately. I'm not going to do it without you. You'll have time. It's not that far. You're close enough to touch.
Calling Mitch is going to be an interesting thing. That's
yes,
for sure.
I've already said I'm going to script my questions for that. I don't usually do that. I have a general idea what I want to ask, but I'm going to script the question so I don't have to think too hard.
I hope Mitch texts you on Wednesday morning. Sorry, something came up. Can we record?
See, this is what we mean. You sound a little concerned. You sound a little concerned about our ability to do the job, Spencer.
I'm concerned for the after the fact, not for like actually consuming the wings. I'm talking about like finishing the show and not like drinking milk or something.
We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. I guess I can't speak for you. I'm I'm going to handle my business.
I'll be all right.
I'm going to handle my business. We got headlines to get to. Let's get to these. We got a lot of headlines to get to today. Let's start, though, with the Chiefs having made a roster move earlier this afternoon. We know that defensive end has been a position of a little bit of concern because the Chiefs have an injury there that they are dealing with, and another injury cropped up on Saturday with Tyreek Smith being injured with a hamstring injury. So Chiefs need a body at defensive end. They have added one. His name is Niles King, who finished his college football career at San Diego State in 2025, spent some time on the Chargers roster, and he has been signed to the Chiefs 90-man roster. In order to make room on the 90-man, Jeff Caldwell, the wide receiver out of Cincinnati, has been waived with an injury designation. He got hurt in camp a couple of weeks ago and hasn't been practicing.
Dealing with a knee injury.
So he is being waived with an injury designation, and if he passes through waivers without being claimed, the Chiefs will be able to add him back to their injured reserve. So he would not be a practice squad player, but they could stash him on the roster on IR for the duration of 2026. Give him basically an injury red shirt. Caldwell wouldn't
be the worst thing.
Crazy athletic. We talked about it when they signed him as a UDFA. His RAS score, relative athletic score, the only person to have a higher one measured since the RAS has been around for the last 20-odd years is Calvin Johnson. That's the kind of athlete you're talking about with Jeff Caldwell. Can he turn that into NFL production? Who knows? But you roll the dice on an athlete like that if you can keep him in your building for a year, and the Chiefs are angling to try and do that. So that is the roster move the Chiefs have made today. Spencer, give me a headline.
Yeah, we're going to stay in Topeka. Washburn Volleyball. They have been named their number one, tied with Nebraska Kearney for number one in the MIAA Volleyball preseason coaches poll, but they do edge out Nebraska Kearney with first place votes. They have 5 compared to Kearney's 4, so they are the presumptive number one preseason in the poll, even though they're tied for one with points. I say if you have more first place votes, you win. So
sure,
that's in my eyes.
Break the tie. Yeah,
yes, you got to break the tie somehow. Third with 2 first place votes, Missouri Western. Fourth with 2 first place votes is Emporia State. Washburn Volleyball begins the season on Thursday, as they have, I believe, the Washburn Volleyball Invitational this weekend.
That is correct. They got 4 games in 3 days starting on Thursday.
6 p.m.
We're going to have some Washburn content for you coming up later this week. They've got a media day on Wednesday. Chris Herron, volleyball coach, scheduled to be there. Davey Phillips, soccer coach, women's soccer coach, is going to be there. And Zach Watkins, I believe, will be there as well. So look forward to hearing from all of them on the program at some point this week. Next headline for me. This is the story that many are talking about because what a world we live in where you get cut from your NFL team and go back and play in college. But that is the world we live in 2026. The Cleveland Browns have waived tight end Daquan Wright, who has an agreement, should he clear waivers, to play for LSU in 2026. He is believed to be the first player ever to have an agreement to return to play in college after signing with an NFL team as an undrafted free agent. Wright entered the transfer portal after he and a group of athletes who filed a lawsuit in Louisiana were granted a temporary restraining order to return to college for one more season. He is one of those class of 2022 athletes who played 4 years in 4 years, used up the 4 years of eligibility, and are not eligible for a 5th year under the NCAA rules that go into effect for the class of 2026. Many of them have sued in court. Wright's lawsuit in Louisiana, separate from the lawsuit in Colorado, in which the NCAA received a stay last week, which meant those athletes were not eligible to continue their careers, at least for now. The athletes in question in this Louisiana lawsuit have received a temporary injunction and are eligible to enter the transfer portal and pursue a 5th year of college sports. And Wright, who played last year at Ole Miss for Coach Lane Kiffin, appears set to follow the Lane train to Baton Rouge.
Not the only one.
Todd Monken of the Cleveland Browns, the head coach, Wright's former head coach, I think summed it up for all of us when he said, quote, "Man, isn't this bleep crazy? I don't even know what to say."
Peter Woods was asked about it too.
I wonder why Lane Kiffin reached out to me a week ago. Now I know. I didn't call him back. I guess I should have. So, Wright was a good player for Ole Miss last year. 39 catches, 635 yards, 5 touchdowns. I'm sure he can help what projects to be a potent LSU offense if there is no stay granted to the NCAA in their appeal of this case, which would then make Wright ineligible and make all of this much ado about
So
nothing.
he's not the only one that's committed to LSU today that spent time in an NFL camp. Former Ole Miss defensive lineman, I believe it's Xavion
Xavion, yes.
Harris has, according to On3 Sports, has committed to LSU and played college ball at Ole Miss last year after spending the parts of the preseason with the Saints. So there's that.
It feels like it would have been really easy for the NCAA to make a rule that says if you have signed a professional contract, you are not eligible to play college sports anymore.
If you went to a tryout, maybe. Like if you were invited to a mini camp and didn't sign, maybe we could talk.
But he did. He was on the 90-man roster of the Cleveland Browns. And they really kind of they're doing him a favor because you don't have to make any roster moves right now. They're doing him a favor. They're saying, yeah, you want to go play college football? All right, go play college football. Go from the Browns to LSU. Do that.
It's so weird.
It is nuts. And the reason I say, it'd be really, you feel like it'd be really easy for the NCAA to say, well, you signed a professional contract, you can't play college sports. Well, then you got all of those athletes from Europe who have signed to play college basketball, are playing college basketball. Many of them certainly play in the Big 12. Obviously, Jeff Mittie signed a couple of former pros from Europe to play for the K-State women's program this year. And the thing about playing professionally overseas is that's the developmental path, right? There's not interscholastic sports, like high school sports, or even like small college, junior college sports in the way that we have them here. The pathway for development in your chosen sports is to get on a pro team. Yeah. And so it is different for like the women's basketball player who played a year in like the B League in Italy as opposed to a guy who a guy like Zeke Mayo who played, or Trey White. Trey White's a better example. Trey White, who played 4 years of college ball and then was on a summer camp invite and that now decides, well, okay, yeah, I want to actually play college basketball instead. So that's why you can't have that rule. Like the NCAA they got no teeth here. Can't really do much about this. And so if it feels like a mockery, if you feel like it's making a bit of a mockery here, you're not alone. You're not alone in that feeling. Next headline for me. Jed York, the owner of the 49ers, was arrested on Sunday in East Palestine, Ohio, and pled no contest on Monday morning to 2 misdemeanor charges of disorderly conduct and possessing criminal tools. I don't know what that means, but I do know that his initial charges had to do with paying for it.
In a trailer park.
Paying for it. What's it? Paying for it. He was arrested he was initially arrested on suspicion of engaging in prostitution. According to court records obtained by ESPN, York allegedly responded to an undercover ad on a known prostitution website and arranged to pay for it for $140. And look.
At a trailer park.
There can be good loving in a trailer park. Good loving everywhere you look.
Yeah, but he's a billionaire.
I just don't know that you're getting, like, with inflation and what have you. I don't know that you're getting good loving for $140. Like, that's the grocery bill, man. Like, like if you've got NFL owner money, I feel like you might have. And look, We don't know what's going on in Jed York's personal life other than
We do know
we
that
know
he
that
just got
he
a divorce.
filed for divorce from his wife in May. So we don't know what's going on beyond that, but we can infer some things. But yeah, if you got NFL owner money, I would think that would be a station in life where you would not be in a position, one, to need it so bad that you would be willing to venture to a trailer park in East Palestine, Ohio with $140 with 7 20s in your pocket and a song in your heart. I would think that would not be a station in life that you would be at if you had NFL owner money. But look, good loving is everywhere you look. Just shouldn't be looking there because it's against the law, and not the best look in the world. Apparently, the NFL, according to Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, will be seeing if this is something that is punishable under the league's personal conduct policy. Which I don't know how you suspend an owner, like where you can't go to the games of the team that you own. It always seems silly to me when they're going to punish an owner.
Well, they punished Dan Snyder.
They did.
And his wife had to run the team, and he couldn't be around the team. But he was at home advising his wife.
Yeah, in all likelihood. Let's get to the winner's circle before we wrap up our 580 Sports Talk headlines today. Wyndham Clark won the BMW Championship in St. Louis over the weekend. He had a big birdie putt on 16, birdied 18 to beat Rory McIlroy by 3. But the big story, as far as we're concerned, the professional sports franchise of Topeka, Kansas, Gary Woodland finished in a tie for 5th. That vaulted him easily into the top 30 in the FedEx Cup point standings, which means he will play the Tour Championship at East Lake in Atlanta this weekend for the first time since 2019. G-Dub was within a shot of the lead on 9 yesterday and hit a cold top of his drive that, listen, we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been there. Most of us not shot off the lead at a PGA Tour event on a Sunday, but we've all been there. And G-Dub had a good sense of humor about it afterwards. He was emotional when interviewed by Amanda Balionis on the CBS broadcast after his round and said, he was really trying to play on Sunday because he was a shot off the lead going on Saturday. And said that, given the PTSD that he has dealt with, that Saturday was really hard with the noise and the drones and all the things that he was really having a lot of trouble trying to black out. That he had a lot of trouble and emotionally and physically. Saturday was a really difficult day for him. And he said on Sunday, just try to embrace it, try to enjoy it, try to have fun with it, rather than and when you have PTSD, your brain plays tricks on you and tries to make you think those things are threats. And G-Dub went out, tried to have a good time playing golf. And if he could laugh about that cold top on 9, then he clearly did have a good time. Shot a 1 under 69 to finish in a tie for 5th. We'll see Gary this weekend again at East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta for the season-ending Tour Championship. Also, Ryan Blaney, a winner on the Cup Series, his 3rd win of the season, his 2nd straight win at New Hampshire. He won there last year as well. That'll do it for our headlines. Mitch Holthus joins us next on 580 Sports Talk.
Live, loud, and local. The sports voice of Kansas.
I'm a kind of a big deal around here.
580 WIBW and FM 104.9.
Welcome back into 580 Sports Talk. We are joined once again for a final week of the preseason by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, for a training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee. The world's best tailgating begins at Hy-Vee, proud official sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs, and by Azura Credit Union. Visit with the Azura Credit Union Home Loans team. Mitch, it's rookie week on these training camp reports. Always look forward to rookie week, getting to know a little bit more about the newcomers. And this is a group of newcomers, this class of 2026, that has made a lot of noise in training camp and in these first two preseason games. And few have made more noise than R. Mason Thomas, our featured player today.
Well, there's rookie weeks, and then there are rookie weeks like 2022, when that group of 9 guys, including draftees and free agents, won back-to-back Super Bowls and went to a third, and went 9-1 in the playoffs. Then there's the class of 26, and not saying they're there yet, but they're giving me all indications they could be a very similar class. And R. Mason Thomas kind of went under the radar here, even though he was the 40th pick. He's up near the top of the second round. But because the Chiefs had 2 first-round picks and took Mansour Delane and Peter Woods, R. Mason Thomas' selection just kind of slid by a bit. R. Mason Thomas is an interesting guy, a superb athlete, a great, quick first-step edge rusher. Saw he's from Fort Lauderdale, went to Oklahoma. You watch him on tape, get ready for the draft, and you start to see the comparisons to Nick Bonito, the impact 2-time Pro Bowler of the Denver Broncos. So I asked R. Mason, on the heels of this great play he made the other night, when he nearly had a pick six out of the sky, about the comparisons to Nick Bonito, and I found out more than I knew.
Yeah, I mean, I know I looked up to him, so I like it. I know I've been hitting him up. I got his number now. So, I mean, I take a lot of his game. Like, that's one of the reasons why I went to OU. So, that makes sense if they're comparing me to him, because I watch, like, his film nonstop. Because, you know, when you go to OU, you get access to practice, the archives from his freshman year. So I know what he wore. I know what type of helmet he changed to. I know what cleats he wore, like all that type of stuff. I know if you look up a play, I don't know which year it is. So it makes sense.
I didn't know that already Nick Bonito and he are in contact, and how much influence Nick Bonito had on R. Mason Thomas. But you saw the play the other night. I talk about disrupting plays, not just getting sacks and the ball comes out fast. That was a real-life laboratory. Jake Browning's trying to get a wide receiver screen, the same play Denver runs 600 times a game seemingly, and R. Mason Thomas almost snatches it out of the sky. No play, no gain, could have been a pick six or very close to it. That's the kind of explosive play R. Mason Thomas can deliver for the Chiefs as soon as week 1 against the Broncos.
He feels, Mitch, like a player the likes of which, just in terms of the prototype, in terms of the skill set, that maybe the Chiefs haven't had in a good while. I think the last guy who was just a pure speed rusher that the Chiefs had, I almost have to go back to D Ford to think of the last guy who was that sort of pass rusher. And when we thought about who the Chiefs have preferred to line up at defensive end over the last handful of years, with Steve Spagnuolo as the defensive coordinator, R. Mason Thomas doesn't maybe fit that vision, fit that prototype, but for the Chiefs to set that aside and decide that they wanted to bring him aboard anyway, what does that speak to about the skill set that he has and the ability to translate that into something that the Chiefs need?
I'll give you an answer you may not be anticipating, because when D Ford was selected in 2014, the game was much different. And I keep talking about how the game has changed so much, especially in the AFC, where the ball comes out so fast. So there's two things that come into play here to answer your question. One, the kind of player R. Mason Thomas is, you have to have that kind of player in this day and age who is fast to try to disrupt the play. Maybe get a sack, probably not, but disrupt the play. Exhibit A's the other night, the play we've been talking about. But two, that's also what the college game is producing. The college game is not giving you now you got Reuben Bain Jr., who kind of fits Buccaneers, who kind of fits that bigger defensive end. I'll get my hand up, maybe get some sacks, make a twist move. But the game has changed. They're not quarterbacks aren't taking 5 and 7 step drops. It's turned into screens, bubble screens, 2-step slants. If I do take a shot, it's outside. It's to the boundary, and you just can't get to the quarterback. If you do, it's kind of rare. So what do you get? You get a Peter Woods one-gap penetration just to thwart things and throw timing off, or at least be at the quarterback's legs, so to speak, so that they're not comfortable. Or you and you get the speed guy like R. Mason Thomas, who's so fast. It's what the Broncos have done with Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper. The Chargers with Tui Pelotu. Same thing. And so now the Chiefs have that guy. But that's why we have R. Mason Thomas, and that's why it's exciting to see that you finally have basically a pitcher who can throw a sweeper for strikes and not just throw fastballs or changes. And that's why I'm so excited about R. Mason Thomas. And that play the other night is a prime example of what I'm talking about.
Mitch Holthus is our guest, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us for a training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Is the long-haul vision for R. Mason Thomas for him to be a 3-down defensive end in the mold of a George Karlaftis or a Frank Clark, a guy who can hold up against the run and also provides that pass rushing ability, that double-digit sack ability? Or are the Chiefs happy right now to see how he develops as more of a specialist? Because that is, as we just talked about, something that they've really lacked and a piece that should be really added to them right away in that way. Is the development for R. Mason Thomas focused on getting the best of him as a pass rusher, or is there an eye long-term on seeing if he can't be one of those 3-down guys, even if he's got to put on a little weight for that?
On August 24th, 2026, I can't give you that answer because I don't think the Chiefs can give you that answer. They don't know. But right now, they love what they see. Now, here, as R. Mason wants to be a 3-down player. He told me that. And I actually had it on tape. I may have to play it later at some point. I didn't use that today because I wanted to use the Bonito comparison, that he wants to be a 3-down player. Now, here's where the Chiefs and everybody has to be careful is R. Mason Thomas, it's like winning the 400 meters in track. He's going to win it. But, hey, we need points. Can you learn how to run the 800 meters? Well, that's a different training. For R. Mason, as he progresses with his body physically, moving forward in his career, he has got to, and the Chiefs have to be careful with this, don't take away what is his fastball. And the Broncos haven't done it with Nick Bonito. He's 243 pounds. He's not 270. Now, they put a little bit on him, the Broncos have put on Bonito. Maybe you get to 250 or a little bit south of that. But you don't take away what R. Mason is, and R. Mason is that play on Saturday night. So if I put a bunch of weight on him and try to make him a 3-down player or try to change his game somehow, and I know maybe he can be Bonito's a 3-down player, but you also get susceptible to the run and so forth. But don't take away what his superpower is. And right now his superpower is a lightning quick first step. His 10, I think he had the same, when you look at his get off, it was the same as Myles Garrett. Now, Myles Garrett's a freak. He's a blend of power and speed and being fast. But Bonito is very much, R. Mason is very much Bonito-ish in what he can do. So the Chiefs have to be careful moving forward. So does R. Mason to, hey, man, keep what you got because what you have works in this day and age of the NFL.
For Thomas and the rest of the defensive line, I thought Saturday was a really solid performance and a group that maybe needed to show a little something because, Mitch, outside of your stalwart veterans, Jones, Karlaftis, Khyiris Tonga, there's just not a lot of NFL experience at the defensive line position. There's a lot of guys who are UDFAs or new to the league, or maybe have been around but have just been practice squad guys. There's not a ton of NFL experience, but that was a group, whether we're talking about the rookie Thomas or a Felix Anudike-Uzomah or somebody like Marcus Harris or Amari McNeil, that was a group that at large felt like it had a pretty good performance on Saturday.
I think Felix Anudike-Uzomah is at the top of this list in this category of players that you have because he was dominant. The play on Jake Browning looked like his days at K-State when he was Defensive Player of the Year. And somehow I think we can kind of pigeonhole that guy saying, well, he hasn't lived up to the first-round pick. Well, wait a minute. That's why we talked about him last week. He's finally healthy, and that's an explosive play. He has the ability to make explosive plays. Now, let's compare him to R. Mason Thomas. Spags likes to move the outside guys in. Sometimes, like Chris Jones, inside guys out. R. Mason is not going to probably play a lot of two-tech inside. But where Felix is now, he could play that spot. It's why Ashton Jelani has value, especially on your defensive front and how you're going to approach the scheme for that opponent. But that still means – it doesn't mean you give up the explosive plays. That's why it was so encouraging to see FAU make the play he did in that game because, man, that was a burst. But it's not the only time he's done it. That's what I was saying in camp. He looks more like the K-State FAU, but he's healthy finally. He can and he's got value to this team. So I'm with you. But to me, Felix was even more so than the guys you mentioned. And then the other guys followed suit. Here's what happens, too. It's almost another baseball analogy. They talk about move the line. One guy gets a hit. Now everything's rolling. Next guy gets a hit. Another guy gets a hit. When Felix made that play, it lifted the whole defensive front for the rest of the game. And all of a sudden, it was contagious. And that's still a decent group of offensive linemen the Buccaneers had out there. There just was a bunch of goobers. So you can ignite a defensive front or ignite a defense with the play, and I thought Felix Anudike-Uzomah did that with his dynamic sack on Jake Browning.
We're going to get to know more about other rookies as rookie week continues here on these training camp reports, Mitch. R. Mason Thomas, just the starting point. But you brought up that 2022 class and what they accomplished. And it's going to be really hard to hold any rookie class in Chiefs history moving forward with what that 2022 class accomplished. It's going to be an unfair comparison to make right off the rip. But that group, and I remember you talking about them when we were doing the training camp reports in 2022, that group had a commonality about them. It was a football intelligence that group had collectively, that seemed like something that Brett Veach and company were really prioritizing in that draft. And, of course, that came to fruition in a major way. Do you sense a commonality with this class of rookies? There's something that maybe binds them or something, a trait that they have at their respective positions that the Chiefs are maybe sorely lacking or sorely missed in 2025?
I don't include all sports here because what I'm seeing is what I saw in the class of 22, and I've mentioned this several times, but mental and emotional maturity. And that leads then to some physical and mental and emotional toughness. They also are willing to learn. These guys are sponges. They ask questions, and when the veterans talk to them or the coaches talk to them, they listen. In the NIL world, we're giving a bunch of money to these guys. All of a sudden, I think I'm better than I am or know more than I am just because I have some money. Not necessarily in the NFL. In fact, usually it's not that way. This group is not like that way. I go right down the line. Emmett Johnson, Peter Woods, I'll have him tomorrow. And it's not just the 7 draftees. It's the 2 undrafted free agents that will make this team, I think, as of now. So those 9 humans are different. It used to be that's what it was normally, but it's different now in the NIL world. That these guys, and I think this is the vetting from Brett Veach, to look into these guys and figure out who they are and what they are, and maybe you get a little lucky with some of these guys. But when you talk to R. Mason Thomas, he is willing to listen to anybody and everybody that'll talk to him, including Nick Bonito. The same with Emmett Johnson. Because I gave the comp of Amir Abdul. He said, yeah, that's my mentor. I mean, I'm going to have Emmett on Thursday. But Emmett's just beyond his years of being a NFL-ready player because of his mental and emotional framework. And I would say the same about R. Mason Thomas. You just heard it in that quote. That's a very mature quote in the way he expressed that about Nick Bonito's comparison. So I'm seeing it up and down the line. Garrett Nussmeier's that way, Jaden Kennedy. And so I'm super fired up about this class, especially that.
Mitch Holthus' training camp reports on 580 Sports Talk are brought to us by Hy-Vee. The world's best tailgating begins at Hy-Vee, proud official sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs. And by Azura Credit Union, where you can visit with the Azura Credit Union Home Loans team. Mitch, rookie week continues tomorrow. Can you give us a clue?
Yeah, it's Peter Woods. He's key. He's key because of the ripple effect he can provide. Because Peter's ability helps others. We'll get into that tomorrow.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Mitch.
All right, see you guys.
That is Mitch Holthus. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from Andy Reid. Spoke earlier today at Chiefs Camp on 580 Sports Talk.
Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis talking sports in Topeka. This is 580 Sports Talk.
544 here on 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Mitch Holthus for joining us for a training camp report. Mitch's training camp reports will be a little earlier the next 4 days. We'll be getting off at 5:30 the next 4 shows for Royals baseball. So make time at 5:15 for Mitch Holthus. 5:15 is when you'll hear from Mitch the next 4 days. So don't be late. Join us at 5:15 for Mitch Holthus. Andy Reid spoke to the media today in Kansas City, not St. Joe. They're at One Arrowhead Drive getting ready for Friday's preseason finale against the Seahawks. Here's Big Red.
As far as the injuries go for today's practice, Caldwell will be out of today's practice. Cochran doing better with the knee, but he'll be out. Chamari will be out, is getting better. Gelati won't practice today. Gilman won't practice. He had that lower back spasm in warm-ups. C.J. Hansen won't practice. Jimmy Holiday. Oladukin actually is in the concussion protocol. So he had symptoms the following day and yesterday, and so he's in the protocol there. Josh Simmons, lower back, and then Tyreek Smith had the hamstring during the game. Other than that, everybody else will go ahead and practice. We're back into more of a normal week. We'll like a Wednesday type practice that you'd have during the season, and game planning is still not what you'd game plan during the season, but we know we're playing Seattle, but we're still working a little bit on them and a little bit on just our plays. So it'll be kind of a mixture of things. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
When training camp began, you guys expressed optimism that Pat could play potentially week 1. I guess where does that stand at this stage in his recovery?
Listen, he's doing great. We'll just see. I'm literally taking it day by day. There are no predictions here on anything, but if the doctors and the trainers and everybody that are involved with this give him an okay, then and then most of all, if he feels like he can, then we'll address that when we get there. But other than that, these other guys are playing quarterback and doing a nice job with it.
And Trey Smith is back. Is he feeling?
Yeah. Well, we'll see. See how he does today. Ease him back in. But he wants to get out there and get going. It's been killing him not to be out there, so he's kind of wired that way.
Andy, just to clarify on Patrick, he said the other night that he had wanted to play or hoped to play. Was that a medical or training thing that held him back, or coach's decision, or a combination?
He wanted to play Patrick?
He wanted to play last weekend.
Yeah, he wants to play every weekend, but
but is he still not cleared to do so, I guess is the question.
Yeah, probably not cleared enough.
With Trey, he definitely is one of those guys who always wants to be out there as well. How tough is it for him to set out this last little bit, because he wants to practice?
Trey, you're talking Trey, yeah. No, Trey loves to play, and but it was important that he let that thing heal up like he did, and I think it'll pay off for him down the road.
In your look at Saturday's reps, I guess, what did you take away from Khalil Benson's night?
Yeah, so we've kind of moved this kid all over the place, and he did some good things. He's got some things he's got to work on, but you can see the talent there. He opened the gate a couple times on his drop, but he's got a lot of talent and he wants to do the right things, and he's got the ability to do it. It's just getting these reps. We went silent count too, which was new to him, and so you saw he was laid off the ball a couple times, but all of that he banks, and it'll be important once we start the season for him.
And with all the rookies, whether it's Khalil or all your draft picks as well, what do you just see normally over a training camp progression, as far as maybe seeing them flash the potential, seeing some tough days, and just
well, Sam. I mean, you hit the primary things. Can you rebound after a tough day? You're getting to see that. Rebound after a tough play, and then are you a repeat offender? And so, you get an idea of all of that during camp. And so when I say I like what I've seen from the rookies, collectively I feel like they're learning from whatever mistakes they make. Looks like they have talent to help us go forward and win games. And so, and then will there be a growing process it takes? Yeah, there will be, but as long as they're going 100 miles an hour doing it, they'll work through it, because they don't normally repeat the mistake twice.
Andy, given it was his first time out there, just what impressed you most about Mansour Delane, and how much you think he maybe progressed from not being at the starting camp to where he is now?
Yeah, you obviously could see the athletic ability, the feet, and the instincts there. He's not afraid to stick it in there. He's a physical kid, and I think he just builds on that and goes. But you obviously see the talent, and like I said, he's like the other rookies. Will there be a mistake here? Yeah, there's going to be a mistake here or there, but as long as he keeps that attitude, and if no other position you have to have a short memory, that's the one you've got to have, and so you learn from whatever mistake you make, and you move forward.
Hi. Andy, what do you see as sort of the biggest reasons for the Royals seeming to become more and more comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, you got to see the lower body strength that he has. So he doesn't always look like the fastest guy or the quickest guy, but he's tough when he's got the ball in his hands. And he's got that running back lower body, and he can make you miss. So we saw that at the college level. We saw it last year before he was hurt. and you're just kind of seeing it come back now, and best in live situations, and he always catches the ball well. He's got strong hands, but that yard after the catch is something that he was very good at the college level.
Is it largely because he's got more familiarity and comfort?
Well, I mean, you have to have the trust of the quarterback to get you the ball, and a couple of those were tight throws in traffic, and he made the catch and then did some things with the ball after the catch.
Last one, Tom. With Justin Fields, he got to play a little bit more last time. How is he taken to your system?
Yeah, I like him. He good kid. He works his tail, very smart, and has done some nice things there. So he seems, you'd have to ask him that question, but I like what I've seen. Yeah, he's done a nice job there.
Andy Reid, earlier today at One Arrowhead Drive. Texter from the 615 makes an interesting observation. Says he feels like Coach Reid sounds healthier this year. I just think there's a little bit more energy from a longer offseason. Like, you never want a long offseason, right? You never want to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, it's also early, too.
It is, but no, I think there's something to that. I think there's something to the idea that a longer offseason allowed everybody to kind of recharge the batteries a little bit. Yeah. And that now being back to being the hunters instead of being the hunted changes the perspective, maybe makes things feel a little fresh. I do. I think that, especially as far as Andy Reid is concerned, with the added notion that the Chiefs are trying to freshen up the offense this year, try and get things right on that side of the ball, a challenge that I'm sure that Andy Reid is excited about meeting. You might even say he's looking forward to the challenge. I do. I think there's something to the idea that this year, this new challenge, this opportunity to get back on the perch might have re-energized Andy Reid a little bit. I think that might be what our listener, what our texter from the 615 is hearing there. But that's a good observation. Good stuff on the text line. Again, you can always text the program, 785-272-9429. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll put a wrap on 580 Sports Talk next.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Leon was about to leave the military.
My biggest concern was, what am I going to do next?
He found out about My Computer Career and their military transition program.
The Cyber Warrior program takes you from not knowing anything about a computer at all to being a subject matter expert.
How long is that going to take?
In the span of 4 months, I was able to get 4 different certifications.
4 months? Leon's advice?
Very highly recommended.
Become a certified cyber warrior in just months at mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary. VA education benefits available to those who qualify.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it.
Sports Talk on the radio at 580 WIBW. Streaming video on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. And streaming audio live on the MSC radio app.
Time for the final word on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, what you got?
Yeah, I know it doesn't mean a lot this late into the season. And I will tell you, I was sitting there looking at the game and having my doubts. But Alex Lang, 3 straight outings of scoreless, 1 innings with 1 inning outings with 1, 2, 3 innings. Has only faced 3 batters in each of his last 3 appearances with 2 strikeouts. Very encouraging. Might be a little late, but encouraging nonetheless.
Final word for me today. Defensive end was a position that all offseason we thought the Chiefs needed to address in a significant fashion, whether that was with their first-round pick, one of their 2 first-round picks, or whether that was with a free agent maneuver. And the Chiefs didn't do that. They waited until the second round to take Mason Thomas. They didn't sign anybody more prominent than Emmanuel Ogbah, and even they only did that about a week ago. They are trusting what they have on hand, and that may come back to bite them with the injury to Ashton Gelati, but with the play of Felix Anudike-Uzomah and Mason Thomas through the first 2 preseason games, it looks like the Chiefs might have a little bit more juice off the edge going into this season than we feared. And it will be hard to have less juice, frankly, than they did last year with Mike Dana and Charles Omenihu struggling their way through seasons that ultimately had them end up no longer Chiefs. Anudike-Uzomah is a fun story. He's still relatively young as fourth-year players go. He's extremely young for a fourth-year player. He's shown some juice. Mason Thomas has terrific speed off the edge. Maybe, just maybe, there'll be a little bit more speed getting to the quarterback for the Chiefs in 2026. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 5:30. For Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.